I can't remember it myself. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
Hi, how's it going? Welcome. Let's intro real quick. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk news, politics, current events. A lot of stuff is happening. So, what do we got for the docket today? Let me actually look really quick because my short-term memory is garbage. Right. We gotta look at Trump at CPAC. So I found an actually old video of Scott Adams that I just want to watch. Everyone's already covered his white people need to abandon black people thing, which is funny and hilarious in its own right. But everyone's always spoken on it. And when I typed in Scott Adams, because I was like, oh, should I cover this? Is it something? I feel like everybody else has already commented. What do I really have new to bring to the table? And then I noticed this white privilege video, and I was like, oh, this was from 5 years ago. This guy was telegraphing where he was going to end up. Give me that. So for the Michael Knowles video, one might think we're going over his really weak ass response to everyone calling him a pro-genocide fascist theocrat, which he is. But again, nothing he says in any of his response was actually substantive and actually addressed any of the issues that anybody really had. So not super worth. So we're gonna go over a different video of his. Let's see. Oh yeah, I guess people are a certain segment of the internet is upset about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing because it's the only thing they have in their life is their 80s nostalgia. So we're gonna take a look at that. Let's see. Oh yes, Matt Walsh has begun. So Matt Walsh has been kind of on this this campaign to rid out the degeneracy, the weak conservatives online, and it seems like another one of his targets is former right-wing content creator Peter Avalon. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where that all lands. I kind of want to see a response, and then we're just gonna kind of got some funny. We're gonna kind of laugh at Tim Pool crying. We're gonna kick some sand in his eyes while he's down. I'm not above that sort of thing. Yeah, watch a quick Vice documentary, and let's see. Oh yes, and then we're gonna be covering a Gothix video because I haven't watched any of her videos and they're usually dog shit, so I figured might as well take a look at this one. It's kind of going to be on the same topic, but either way, but before, let's do this. We'll do Trump, and then we'll do Trump, and then there's a news article I want to go over that I was made aware of a little bit after the point in which I already wrote out the title for the title for the stream today. So let's go over Trump. Let's start with that, and then we'll move on to kind of the lighter topics for the day. But so over the last weekend, the CPAC was held in what seemed a pretty small crowd this year. CPAC didn't really seem to pop off the way it used to. But the obvious keynote speaker, Donald Trump, came on to give the keynote address to presidential candidate, probable, let's be honest, presidential nominee for the Republican Party in 2024, went on and gave a speech. So let's kind of look at let's take a look at some of that, see what's going on.
Donald Trump tonight grabbing the harness of the MAGA base.
I'm thrilled to be back.
Oh man.
CPAC.
The type of
Okay. I know. I know what people are gonna say. I'll be honest with you. I do kind of miss Trump being in the news, or at the very least, I miss the guy being more out there and involved. I genuinely do, because he's just so ridiculous and so fucking he's just so dumb. It's genuinely fun to watch and laugh. It's I'm a big fan of like physical humor, like, you know, people step on a rake, hits them in the face. I fucking die for that shit. That's what I really miss out of the news cycle. These days we have people who are like openly hateful amongst other things, but man, like I do miss this like low tier low ball humor that is like Trump and Trumpism. God, like, look at these guys.
We're going to see this battle through to ultimate victory. We're going to make America great again.
CPAC, the annual conservative gathering, a wild scene of Republican enthusiasts and a crowd overwhelmingly supportive of Trump's 2024 bid.
Donald Trump.
I'm a MAGA guy through and through. There's nobody.
CPAC is like the like I get the sense whenever I see footage from CPAC that it's like if you've ever been to like a fucking anime convention or like even like a mild Comic-Con, like that's like that's what we're looking at. That's like for conservative values. That's where they get to come out and get in there like America cosplay with this fucking cowboy hat and everything. Like,
what are people coming to buy?
It's like 30-1 Trump over DeSantis.
An arena most other possible Republican contenders opted to avoid.
Get out. Just get out.
The only major declared challenger to Trump.
If you're tired of losing, put your trust in a new generation.
Haley heckled by several on her way out.
Bruh, it's not happening. I don't know why she's bothering.
Favoring Trump over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis by more than 40 points. DeSantis did not attend CPAC and is yet to announce a presidential run.
Why should he not be the presidential candidate for Republicans?
Well, he can be if he wants to be.
Why should the folks not turn to him if he makes the case of being a new generation of leader?
I think I've done something that nobody else has been able to do.
The conference here filled with Trump allies, including former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro.
Oh, hey, this guy. Isn't this guy like fleeing? Yeah, like they really had like a dude who had to flee his country because, okay.
Unsubstantiated claims of a stolen election in his home country. His supporters attacking the Capitol in January. He gave us his first on-camera interview with a U.S. TV outlet since losing his re-election bid.
Would you urge others around the world to resist the election denialism that we have seen play out in America and Brazil?
What we want is transparency, he said.
Transparency. The only trans they seem to be in favor of. Isn't it funny that he can't like outright say yes to that? Like he has to like nibble around the edges. That's like how you know that somebody's being dishonest. Oh, actually, 1 second. Hold up. I got one thing I have to plug in. Do things look like kind of choppy every once in a while? You know why that is? Okay, so let me give you some inside baseball. All right, so I run all of this off like a laptop in a bedroom that's on the opposite side of the apartment. The only way I keep this thing alive is this right here. Glorious Ethernet cord that I forgot to fucking plug in. So give me like a second, and then things will hopefully be a lot less choppy. You know, I plug like a million things into this laptop. All right, let me watch as the internet just rolls in at a more consistent pace. All right. Acclimate. Stabilize. Oh. God, technology, dude. All right, are we good? Are you good, computer? We're good? You're good? Okay, cool. Seems like we're doing all right. Okay, anyway. Yeah, let's continue.
Former president
I just noticed
went
that.
after those investigations into him as well.
That's right, Jose. Former President Trump openly talking about those investigations to the CPAC crowd from New York to Washington, D.C. to Georgia, several of them expected to conclude soon. And he suggested to the crowd that these were purely political ploys to get in the way of his own presidential campaign. Jose?
All right. Let's take a look at some of the actual like clips of him speaking. There's also like a short clip that I grabbed that should give us kind of a little bit of the tenor and tenor and tone of what we're hearing from Trump here.
Not going back to people that want to destroy our great social security system.
Ooh, smart.
Some in our own party. I wonder who that might be.
Keep in mind, he's talking about DeSantis right here. It's actually really interesting because Trump has been coming out rather pro Social Security and like really strongly defending it, this is like one of those scenarios where you got to give him at least, like, you know, if you're gonna give Trump credit for anything, he understands how to read the room. He knows that a large majority of Republican voters are going to be older voters, either in their retirement or approaching it. And he knows that touching Social Security would greatly affect their life in a negative manner. So obviously he goes to bat and continue, and like he's always going to end up bringing up like, oh yeah, no, we're going to keep Social Security safe, we're going to keep it solvent, all the rest of this shit. Unlike you know, DeSantis and some Republicans in the Senate and the House, Trump is at least smart enough to not play into the corporate influence that is obviously telling the parties, hey, you know, we want to see some cuts of Social Security. And by cuts, they're, you know, they're talking about like some tax cuts, some like, you know, tax increases, but like, you know, more like tax cuts for certain classes of Americans and everything else. But like Trump seems to understand that the Republican Party base has no interest in Social Security being affected in any kind of negative way, which the Republican Party has a long track record of wanting to do.
That want to raise the minimum age of Social Security to 70, 75, or even 80
Jesus.
in some days.
Imagine that. You can't
And
fucking
that are
retire
out
until
to
80.
Cut Medicare to a level that
Like, what retirement
it
then?
will no longer be recognizable. And when that was their original thought, that's what they always come back to. Remember that. You have to remember that. You heard it here first. We are never going back to a party that wants to give unlimited money to fight foreign wars that are endless wars, that are stupid wars. But at the same time demands that we cut veterans' benefits and retirement benefits at home. Our soldiers will no longer live in the streets of our city. We have cities where our soldiers, our great soldiers, are living on concrete. They're living on
Not
asphalt.
wrong. Like, this is the thing about Trump. Like his actual, like, I think, like, his ability to identify, like, very potent political issues that the Republican base, like, cares about, I think is almost second to none. Almost second to none. Because, like, Republicans paint themselves as, like, pro-veteran, as they're the type, they're gonna be the people who think that they earn Social Security. Like, these are like he understands the angle in which to kind of attack policy that Republicans are going to find just like irresistible, which I give him credit for. He knows his base, I think, better than, honestly, certainly better than DeSantis does. The problem with DeSantis is, like, DeSantis, like, seems like if you ever see DeSantis speak, he talks like a fucking asshole, right? Like he doesn't give off this, like, everyman like energy. Like, he kind of seems like a fucking asshole. So, like, whoa. My goodness, a lot of technical issues tonight. But yeah, like, he just kind of seems like an asshole. The same way, like, Trump doesn't, like, ever seem like an asshole. He just seems kind of fucking stupid and, like, not super well informed. But, like, the people who vote for him like that because they also don't see themselves as, like, these, like, high-minded assholes. They're just like, oh, I'm, like, maybe I'm a little misinformed, but I understand, like, the world around me. Like,
We'll take care of our soldiers. There has never been a time like this. Illegal immigrants come in, and we house them in the Waldorf Astoria and many other of the greatest hotels anywhere in the world. But our soldiers, we do nothing for them. They sleep out at night and they freeze.
now, keep in mind, Trump doesn't actually do anything about this. Like, when Trump was in office, there wasn't, like, this robust reinvigoration of the VA system or their benefits. There wasn't any of this. Trump didn't seize on any of this and actually change life for the better for any of these people. But he knows that he needs to, at the very least, like, pretend to care about these issues. And he seems a lot more organic when he
and they die in the heat.
when he talks about this stuff.
Well, people that came into our country illegally are in beautiful hotel suites, perhaps watching us on television right now. We were taking care of our soldiers just a short while ago, but we don't do that anymore. But we'll start doing it again. Our soldiers are very special to us. When a wonderful town in Ohio has difficulty, we are going to take care of that town, that city, that village, prior to worrying about the rest of the world. We're taking care of the problems.
Like a good example of this, now that I think about it, is the train derailment in Ohio. If you really want to like track back to how we got the derailment that like happened in East Palestine, it was because of the deregulation by the Trump administration that allowed for the trains to be run at like skeleton crews, against the warnings of the actual workers, which led to the derailment in East Palestine, which has led to all these people living with like a bunch of shit in the air and probably shit in their water and like chemicals and all sorts of harmful stuff. Like Trump, at the end of the day, like set the stage for stuff like that to happen to that community, but at least he understands that he needs to he absolutely needs to what's the word I'm looking for? He needs to at least like show up and pretend to like advocate for those people afterwards, which one might say we're like, yeah, because if those people in that community never hear that the regulations that led to that were from the Trump administration, then they're just gonna think, oh, what a great guy, he showed up, he actually cares about us. I don't actually think he cares, but his politics, he understands political messaging, I think, a lot better than quite a lot of people, and why I think that in terms of the Republican primary, it's pretty much over.
Of the rest of the world, that they're not taking care of themselves. They have us put up the money. You know what I'm talking about. If you look at Ukraine, and we all feel so badly about it, but why isn't NATO putting up dollar for dollar with us? We put up $140 billion, and they put up just a tiny fraction of that. And, we all want to see...
Well, technically, like, our military is much more well-funded and larger than any of the other NATO allied countries. That's for one. For two, like, the actual answer to this is because we have military contractors. Because, like, companies like Boeing, companies like Lockheed Martin, all of them would love to develop these weapons, sell them to the US government, who then, hands them over to Ukraine. But the whole point of this is laundering money into the coffers of those private military corporations. That's why, like, the real the mystery here is not it's out in the open. It's rather obvious. You have guys who get donations for their elections by these military contractors, and then almost like fucking clockwork, they advocate for giving these companies money through the aid to Ukraine and through just generally like increasing the military budget every single year, even though we're not really involved with too many conflicts these days. But and then when they retire, when it's time for them to leave the House, leave the Senate, go back to private life, be a private citizen, they get a nice board seat, or they get a nice position at Boeing, at Lockheed Martin, and now they're given a cushy salary. It's rather obvious, like what's happening here.
Success, but it's far more important to them than it is to us because of that location. We are never going to be a country ruled by entrenched political dynasties in both parties, rotten special interests, China-loving politicians, of which there are many. You listening to this, Mitch McConnell? Are you listening? And a militant left-wing news media that's either frightened of telling the truth or is truly evil and bad? I don't know. I think in many ways they're frightened, but you never really know which. We are not going back to this mindset, not now, not ever.
Oh, okay. Ay. I tell you, man, Trump is, again, like I always have to give him credit. Like I feel like a lot of times people don't want to give the guy credit for being like a good, like he is a good politician from like a, like, you know, like a politician's politician. He knows how to like stir the crowd. He knows how to kind of push them in the direction that he wants them to go in. You know, I disagree with the guy on basically all his policy prescriptions, but like in terms of messaging, I don't think there's anybody who's really up there. DeSantis certainly isn't. I think, you know, you heard the guy in the NBC clip, you know, it's 30-1 Trump over DeSantis. I think in terms of the primary, we're pretty much over like as far as the primary goes. I don't think there is any chance DeSantis can pull anything other than an embarrassment by entering into the race against Trump. I think he would just get utterly slaughtered. But either way, we're gonna go on a break like really quickly. Let me just make sure everything's good on my end. I'm still seeing my internet kind of fluctuate a bit, so just give me like a minute here, but we'll be back in a second. Okay, I think everything seems to be good at this point. From what looking at the charts, the live chart that you can usually find, everything seems to be all right. So, okay, I mentioned that there was a news article I want to go over really quickly. It's from salon.com. Apparently, Tennessee Republicans are, I gotta ask, Tennessee, what is going on? Like what is going on with Tennessee right now? Because a lot of I want to say this will be like the third time I have talked specifically about the Tennessee Republicans and their campaign to pretty much write like non-straight people out of like their society in terms of like, you know, access to the same resources and to the same honestly to the same rights. So let's go take a look. It's like, but yeah, Tennessee, let's zoom in a little bit, shall we? Republicans pass bill letting clerks refuse marriage licenses to LGBTQ couples. All right. Oh, actually, you know, where is you know, I already have a let's see. Where can I find like that clip of him being like none of this is going to happen. It's not really a big deal. Nobody, let's see. I'll see if I can find it while like I'll see if I can find it on the side. Well, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it that quickly. That's okay. That's okay. F the Democrats. Do you have anything more to say then, Derek? Do you have a stronger argument to make, maybe? The Republican-controlled Tennessee State House of Representatives voted on Monday. Okay, so it passed to the House, obviously, probably. Yeah, go. Representatives voted on Monday to pass a bill that would allow county officials to deny same-sex or interracial couples marriage licenses. So remember how a lot of conservatives, you know, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, we're like, look, we're just leaving it up to the states. This doesn't actually affect your ability to get reproductive care. This doesn't affect your ability to get marriage license. Nobody's gonna outlaw interracial marriage. Don't be crazy. Like, that was a whole narrative. It's a whole narrative. And when it comes down to it, in terms of like, when it comes to law, like the creation and passing of laws, like, yeah, like if you leave people grounds, if you leave them the space to legislate this or that thing, or, you know, any aspect of life, by definition, you're giving them the ability to take that right away, like to deny that aspect of life to some of its citizens. So it's like rather obvious, at least in my book. House Bill 878 states that county clerks and their staff, quote, shall not be required to solemnize a marriage if the person has an objective to solemnizing a marriage based on the person's conscience or religious beliefs. Wow, that is kind of crazy. Mainly because conscience is pretty much like, okay, so what? We can just be like, oh yeah, the straights, like, you know, a straight couple comes in, want to get married, then what? Is a county clerk allowed to be like, no, fuck off? No, I will not allow you to be married. Like, the bill now has to the Senate, which will begin consideration of its passage in the chamber next week. If the bill becomes a state law, it would directly challenge federal marriage equality protections, including Supreme Court's rulings in the recently passed Respect for Marriage Act. The Respect for Marriage Act was passed in the last congressional session and was signed into law by President Joe Biden, requires states to recognize same-sex marriage licenses from other states. Yeah, okay, so yeah, this was the compromise that, like, I think, like, Democrats thought was, like, I don't know what the fuck they thought this was going to be. It pretty much, like what's the word, like, mandated that if you're in Tennessee, you have to recognize marriage licenses from any other state. So if if gay marriage is legal in New York and you drive down, or you move down to Tennessee, you got your marriage license in New York, they can't take that away, and they can't not recognize that as legal standpoint, which again means, like, you would file as one couple on your taxes. There's also, like, medical consent. There's a lot of things that go into being legally married that you kind of need as a function of like society to a degree. Okay, but does not require them to issue same-sex marriage licenses themselves, right? Meaning that if federal marriage equality protections are ever undone by the conservative-led Supreme Court, states would be able to deny same-sex couples the right to marry. Federal marriage equality protections have been in place since 2015 when the Supreme Court ruled in Obergefell-Hodges that states must grant same-sex couples the right to marry. Decades earlier in 1967, Loving v. Virginia, the court ruled that states could not ban interracial marriages. In the Supreme Court case upending abortion rights last summer, however, Justice Clarence Thomas suggested that justices should examine Obergefell and other cases based on due process precedents and the right to privacy standard previously established by the court. So let's be really clear. Let's be really, really fucking clear here. The Republican Party in Tennessee is so adamantly opposed to gay marriage that they are willing, and keep in mind, this is to any conservatives, any Republican voters in Tennessee, they are willing to deny you your right to marry somebody of a different race so that they can deny people marrying somebody of the same sex. We were told over and over again by right-wing pundits that the court was not coming after interracial marriage, that the legislatures weren't coming after interracial marriage, that this was just about putting the decision of marriage back in the hands of states. Well, that's now happened, and we now live in a Tennessee that might be looking at a ban of interracial and same-sex marriage, meaning if you are in an interracial union with somebody, you are at risk of losing your status as a married couple because some asshole 3 blocks down doesn't like that two guys got married. Understand that. And even if you're conservative, even Justice Clarence Thomas is married to a white woman. He himself is in an interracial marriage, and yet his drive against gay people is so strong that he would risk the legitimization of his marriage. Now, granted, he doesn't live in Tennessee, and he most likely can move anywhere he wants in the United States. The same way rich people, when it comes down to it, laws like this will never affect. If you're in Texas and you have money, you will simply fly to another state, get your abortion, and fly right back out. The only people who are affected by an abortion ban in Texas, as an example, are people who can't get out of the state, people who have jobs, people who don't have the money for the travel, people who can't take time off of work. Keep in mind, this only serves to make more people in the lower classes of our society more miserable, have less rights, and have less power in our actual body politic. Anyway, in the Supreme Court, the Tennessee bill, which has a high likelihood of passing, has the potential to upend marriage equality protections across the country. If the bill becomes law, it will likely be challenged, resulting in the appeals court to work its way to the Supreme Court. So understand, they're going to pass this law, most likely. I have almost no doubt this law is going to pass. It's going to get challenged. It's going to get kicked up to the Supreme Court. And then we have to hope that this conservative Supreme Court upholds federally the right to marry whoever you would like to marry, even if they're not the same race as you. The idea that we are backsliding all the way back to pre-civil rights era, to a pre-civil rights era place on this topic is actually nuts. If there was ever an argument for Biden to stop fucking nibbling around the edges, stop this nonsense of taking these people seriously and giving them the respectability they deserve, they don't deserve respect. Expand the fucking court, make it irrelevant. There is no point in any of this anymore. This court is an activist court, and it will continue to be that way until it's done, until the court is either A, reverted back to its, at the very least, conception of being like, at the very least being like somewhat bipartisan. But like, even then, that's under the delusion that it ever was apolitical. Like people would say like, oh, the Supreme Court is apolitical. The Supreme Court is, the people who sit on the Supreme Court are appointed by political members, by political advocates, politicians. There isn't a way for them to be apolitical. There isn't a time that a Democrat put a conservative or a conservative put a progressive on that court. So don't tell me it's apolitical. Fucking expand the Supreme Court, make it irrelevant. Like, I don't know what to say, because the Republicans have gone this far with it. We're past the point of playing fair at this point. Of continuing to naively play this game under the assumption that things are that this is fairness, that this is like how it's supposed to happen. Critics condemned the bill for being a blatant attack on LGBT couples in the state, pointing out the legislature has already passed a number of bills aimed at restricting the rights of LGBTQ people. Extremist Tennessee lawmakers are unrelenting in the discriminatory attacks on the LGBT plus community. Human Rights Campaign Director Sarah Warbelow, adding that the bill and other anti-LGBT bills are about stripping away the basic human rights that LGBTQ people have fought for over decades, forcing those people, particularly transgender and non-binary people, back in the closet and labeling us as dangerous. Tennessee House of Representatives continues to be one of the most dangerous legislatures. Absolutely. This is one of those cases, again, where Biden should just step in. Honest to God. Just expand the court, make it some ridiculous number, appoint a bunch of Democrats, appoint a bunch of far left Supreme Court justices, and simply go out there and go, okay, I'm not going to do this. We as a party are not going to do this again. And as long as you keep it the way it is, like there's just, when it comes down to it, Republicans did what they've always wanted to do. They obstructed the actual process for picking Supreme Court justices, and they were able, while doing so, to secure a majority in a chamber that they should have never had. Certainly not the majority, not the super majority that they have. Republicans, considering Donald Trump would have won no matter what, they would have gained a majority, but certainly not the majority that they have. And honest to God, what Biden should do is just expand it, add some Democrats, and go, okay, if Republicans, if you leave it, your next administration, whenever you have the ability again, if you'd like to add some people, when Democrats are back in power, we're going to add people. And we're going to turn this institution into an utter and complete entity. Make it threaten to make it irrelevant. As long as Republicans are never going to play fair and never going to abide by the rules set. But will he do it? I really don't think so. Sadly, I don't think so. Has a Democrat-controlled Senate ever confirmed a Republican to the Supreme Court? I have almost no doubt that they have. I couldn't name you off the top of my head, but I have almost no doubt that Democrats are probably perfectly fine with that. Look it up. Let me know. I don't have all the answers. I could be wrong, but knowing Democrats, they tend to like their process and aren't gonna just not seat somebody because the Republican president said so. Because it's a Republican president who is nominating them. Generally I'd be really shocked to find that out. Either way, what are we on to next? Right. Dilbert guy. Okay, so you all have heard about the Dilbert guy, and how he's like a racist or whatever. We're not really going to go over that clip. We've all seen it. I don't really think There's not really. Look, the guy's like Twitter and Facebook feed is obviously filled with like just like a cavalcade of like videos of like random like fucking world star hip hop like clips of like white people getting assaulted by like some black people, and like that's where he's gotten all of his like political his political analyzation from, right? We don't really need to talk about that much. What I want to watch is a video from 5 years ago where Scott Adams, the same dude, showed up on Daily Wire at a time when Daily Wire was rather small and opined about white privilege. So let's just go take a look. I'm just kind of curious, like we know how he is now. I want to know. Like I want to get in a hot tub time machine and go back in time and find out.
There's been a lot of talk recently about white privilege, and many of you may have been wondering, what is white privilege?
Man, holy shit. This might be a right-wing channel, but this has some fucking leftist audio. Jesus Christ. Daily Wire has gotten so much better in production value.
Probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. White privilege is
oh my god. Okay, we're gonna turn this way down. Do this up a bit.
You can see white privilege in the liberal arts departments of left-wing universities, for example.
Okay, I think that's better. Doesn't have that awful echo. Like, God. Oh wait, do they not have? No, he has a lapel mic. Why the fuck is this audio so bad? I think it's because it's facing like this.
Probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. White privilege is when liberals have so few problems that they have the privilege of sitting around complaining about white privilege. You can see white privilege.
Actually, now that I think about it, not to Bud. Wasn't Clarence Thomas put into the Supreme Court during the Clinton administration? And he's a Republican? I could be wrong about that, but yeah.
In the liberal arts departments of left-wing universities.
You can confirm that for me. That'd be great.
At these universities, there are college professors who don't have to know.
Right. I didn't hear his argument. Okay, what is white privilege? Hit me with it.
Have so few problems that they have the privilege of sitting around complaining about white privilege.
Oh my God, hilarious.
In the liberal arts departments of left-wing universities, for example. At these universities, there are college professors who don't have to know about anything but their own opinions and who can't lose their jobs because they have tenure. These people have it so easy that the only thing they can think to complain about is white privilege. That's white privilege. But you may ask, if...
Wait, what's... Okay, I'm sorry, I was reading your comment. Ronald Reagan's nomination of Anthony Kennedy in 1991. Senate held 57-43 by Democrats, nevertheless confirmed Justice Clarence Thomas. 75-83. Yeah. Okay, so let me also be clear. They held the vote. Like, if you hold the vote and like he doesn't get through, that's a different story than what Republicans did with was it Merrick Garland, where they just were like, we're not going to even like do the process. That's more of what I'm talking about. But like I'm sure there's been times what's it called where they didn't vote for a nominee, but that's different from just throwing out the entire process and not participating. But that was a misspeak. I did misspeak in that case.
They can think to complain about is white privilege. That's white privilege. But
college professors who don't have to know anything about anything but their own opinions, and you can't lose their jobs because they have. Oh man, this is like brain dead. This dude's been dumb forever. Then
you may ask, if white privilege means having it so easy that all you have to complain about is white privilege, can black people have white privilege too? Oh, absolutely. Say you're a black actor who makes a freaking fortune on TV by showing up for a few hours every week, dressing up as a poor person, and reading lines someone wrote for you about how white people have white privilege. You now have so few problems.
Is he referencing something?
You not only have the white privilege to complain about white privilege, you have even more white privilege than a white person with white privilege because you're black, so you also have the white privilege of never being accused of having white privilege. Many black people, of course, do not have white privilege. These are black people.
This is true. They have black privilege. They get to say the N-word.
Their policies have created a culture of dependency for these black people, and liberal teachers unions have kept them too uneducated to rise above it. liberal sexual policies have helped.
Wait. Okay, I was distracted by literally anything because this dude's a fucking brainlet. But wait, go back for a minute.
These are black people who live in cities run by liberals.
Yes. Fucking liberal cities. I love it. I fucking love it. I love when they bring up liberal cities.
Welfare policies
Hit me with it.
created a culture of dependency for these black people.
Welfare creating dependency. What welfare? Our welfare programs are underfunded. Like, what dependency? The wages are super low, and our fucking welfare systems are underfunded. How could they be dependent?
And liberal teachers unions have kept them too uneducated to rise above it.
Yes. It's liberal teachers' fault. It's their fault because they've consistently advocated for the funding of their schools to be done through property taxes, to which only favor high-income neighborhoods. Yes, liberal teachers. Yes, they did this.
Sexual policies have helped create a horrific plague of
sexual policies,
which has mired these black people in generational poverty.
I'm so confused. What's the
police
sexual
have left
policies?
These black people in neighborhoods so violent that they are almost like war zones.
Oh my God! Did you guys hear that? Like, there's no police in Chicago. they just don't exist. The police force in Chicago just doesn't exist. Also, I love the idea. I really love the idea. So I grew up my father was a police officer. So let me tell you right now, my dad didn't give a shit that people were like, my dad was not like, they said fuck the police, I'm putting in my resume, I'm done, I'm not appreciated. Like, what? Police don't, this is not a thing. Do you know how many people work in the restaurant industry and are like daily like disrespected, like on a face-to-face interaction? Like, constantly. People don't quit their career choices just because they're undervalued in society. We wouldn't have teachers, we wouldn't have police, we wouldn't have cooks, we wouldn't have servers, we wouldn't have any of these things. This is, oh man, this is great. I love this. This dude, like, this makes so much sense that 5 years later, he would just come out and be like, look, white people, just fuck the black people. Just move away from all the blacks. Make sure, when you go to buy a house, you gotta ask them. You gotta ask the realtor, like, you gotta let me know, man. Are there gonna be any blacks here? Just ask them that. It's not racist. It's just you don't like being around black people. That's not racist.
How do liberals help these people whose lives they've helped destroy?
Okay, let me read this really long. They cited June 92 speech by then Senator Biden. Biden argued that President Bush should wait until after the election. Summer should appoint the moderate. Yeah. Okay. Let's say Summer should appoint a moderate acceptable to the then Democrat Senate as a president. Well, yeah. Like, if you have a Democratic Senate, right? If you have a Democratic Senate and a Republican president, right? What you should be doing is, like, the way the process is supposed to work is you nominate somebody, and the Senate is going to, if they feel like they're too far to, the right in this case, then they won't vote for them. They'll say, bring me somebody a little that tracks more to the center. That creates compromise. I got no problem with that. The problem with the specific, I think it was 2015 case, or it might have been I guess it would have been 2016, because 2016 is when the actual election was held, right? But the issue with the Merrick Garland case was that Obama nominated Merrick Garland, let's be honest here, a utterly milquetoast, moderate, uninteresting, like, liberal, yeah, but like, certainly nobody's progressive, to the Supreme Court, to which the Republican Senate refused to hold hearings at all. They essentially said, we're not, like, it's not that we're going to vote him down. If they had voted him down, no issue whatsoever. But they didn't. They specifically did not hold hearings. and kicked it onto the next onto like the next presidency, to which then when the exact same issue came up in when was that, I guess it would have been 2020, when the same issue came up closer to the end or within the last year of Trump's administration, they then pushed through their the Trump's presidential pick. They pretty much, they had their cake and they ate it too. That's why I say, like, Republicans at the end of the day weren't, if they had just voted Merrick Garland down, no problem. I got no problem with them voting somebody down. That's part of the process. But they actively broke the process so that they could like do this whole political stunt.
Complaining about white privilege.
Did you see the show Gunfight where they didn't press charge and chalked it up to mutual combat? They should have chalked it up to Mortal Kombat, it sounds like. What the fuck? The way she runs the DOJ, I'm kind of glad she's not on the Supreme Court. Let's see. Yeah, like Mitch McConnell, like, yeah, it's just like a rules thing. Like, if they had held the vote and not if they had not appointed Garland because they held the vote and voted him down, that's fine. I got no problem with that. That's part of the process. But like, to just not do it and make up like a precedent about not passing people, then like, no, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, it's not about, I don't like Garland's whatever. I don't give a fuck about Garland, but like, that's my whole point.
White privilege. So screw the black people whose lives they helped destroy. Now, to be fair,
oh my God,
some liberals do try to help these black people.
This is so amazing.
Oh,
that's
How?
True.
By pulling down statues to oppose white privilege.
Yeah.
Why do liberals pull down statues instead of changing the policies that have helped destroy the lives of black people?
It's so weird. He could have done this on PragerU and it would have been like a green screen.
Policies make them feel great about themselves. And what is it called when you help destroy the lives of black people but feel great about yourself while uselessly pulling down statues to oppose white privilege? You guessed it, it's called white privilege. So, in conclusion, the best way to tell if you have white privilege is if you're complaining about white privilege. Because believe me, if you didn't have white privilege, you'd really have some.
Wait, does that mean that he... Wait. Does that mean that he believes in white privilege? Because he's complaining right now about white privilege. Like, I don't... I'm glad we didn't watch the other clip. This is way more fun. This dude, it like, his fucking brain has been like fucking melting for like years now, it seems. We're only now seeing the effects of like right-wing media and hysteria, the kind of like fucking nuclear waste radiation that that affects the brain in such a fundamental way. It just fucking like, it crystallizes the brain, just start breaking it apart like hard stone. Like, it's amazing, man. If you'd asked me, like, will the Dilbert guy come out as like a racist? I'd probably be like, I don't know, he writes Dilbert. Does he have, like, it seems like he only really, like, his politics start and end at like the water cooler of the office. Like, I haven't thought about Dilbert in like forever, mainly because Beetle Bailey's better. But still, like, man, holy shit. My dude is has been off the deep end for a while. Somebody complaining about white privilege. Does that make it well, if he's complaining about somebody else complaining about white privilege, that makes him like 2x white privilege, doesn't it? Like, by way of math here, he is the most whitest, most privileged of everybody. Like, that's just kind of how that the math has to work out on that, yeah? But anyway, jokes aside, what is this? Sorry, I'm just like reading my YouTube comments for a second. I don't know why it suddenly started giving me notifications for every, or at the very least some of the comments. Okay, so Michael Knowles. I'm sure you're aware of him. Christian fundamentalist, theocrat, a demon in human clothing, and wearing human skin. We've talked a lot. This week, over the last week, everyone's kind of, he's really taken the spotlight from Matt Walsh. I can, I can respect that Daily Wire wants to kind of have like, you know, two different voices, you know, two different kind of like voices that you know, that, you know, of the same people from the same angle. You know, Matt Walsh comes at this from a very fascist angle, whereas Michael Knowles sticks nicely in the you know, kind of in the like more like theocrat section. But what's it called? So I want to take a look at, because I guess like, you know, there was some debate. I remember this a bit ago. There was some debate about like, should, I think it was like Congress people or whatever be allowed to like block people on Twitter or something. And I remember it turned into like a discourse, but like I didn't think we were still talking about it. But I guess Michael was rather I guess this was like important to him. So I kind of want to give him the chance to get away from the theocracy stuff and give us maybe something that he's, you know, maybe a little bit more experienced, maybe a little bit more you know, able to speak on. Because obviously you know, running a you know, obviously advocating for human rights that don't align with everybody's you know, religious views and religious opinions is kind of hard for him. So let's see if something a little bit more light, something, you know, something that who really cares, and maybe he'll have better opinions when the stakes are a little lower. And I was about to say, with social, say from social issues tend to stick with the economics. I feel like I was thinking about this earlier today with economics, because when I was building up the show, I was like, dude, is there anything on here economics wise I can put? And honest to God, there's not really a lot going on, at least from a U.S. perspective. When we talk about like in terms of economics, at least nothing like super interesting. In terms of geopolitics, oh God, geopolitics. I am very much American pilled. I'm red, white, and blue pilled. In terms of geopolitics, my awareness is probably on the lower end. But yeah, that's just good for you though. I don't like, I work most of the time, so like my vicinity to geopolitics is rather low. But anyway, was just in front of the Senate and House, and there's some good vibes. Like Sydney or fuck, what is his name? Or Colin.
Great story.
Oh God, why is everyone so loud today? Swear to God.
Here from Alex Stein, primetime Alex Stein over at The Blaze. Alex Stein is suing Congress Lady Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for blocking him on Twitter. Now,
wait, what?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez
right. Oh yeah, that's right.
blocked Alex Stein on Twitter, presumably because he filmed himself on the steps of the Capitol yelling about her booty and how she's a hot, sexy Latina. And she actually briefly...
Wait, what? Seriously? No, wait, no. That's right. This is the dude. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a face. All right. The Elizabeth Warren and Kennedy moments were pretty beat. I'm saying you're talking about Sydney Powell or Colin Powell or a different Powell. Those are the only two. Those are at least the only two Powells I can think of off the top of my head. God damn it, Jerome. Damn it. Wait, I know what video you're talking about. I do know what video you're talking about. Okay. Should we... You bring that up and now I'm like, fuck, should we just like toss this entire segment out? Because I did find that kind of interesting. I think I saw maybe Young Turks cover it. I think I know which video you're talking about. Okay, no, fuck this. This is stupid. Let's do that. Let's see. Let's do Kennedy because I haven't seen that one yet. Okay, here we go.
Powell,
you've swayed me. You've swayed me to the economics.
Thank you to you and your team for helping to save the economy during the pandemic meltdown. For what it's worth, I'm generally supportive of the actions of the Fed right now.
The Senate Bank. Okay,
I'm not going to ask you today to blame anybody.
Oh wait, isn't this the dude who called somebody a whore or some shit? Isn't this fuck, I remember. Yeah, he was like wait. Okay, let me see if I can go find it.
When Congress spends money,
I love his voice. It's so fucking funny.
It stimulates the economy, does it not?
Well, it would depend on whether that's funded by tax increases or not. But so if there's a spending that's not accompanied by taxes, would have a net at the margin stimulative effect.
Well, and when Congress borrows money to spend even more, that stimulates the economy even more, does it not?
At the margin, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. If Congress reduced the rate of growth in its spending and reduced the rate of growth in its debt accumulation, it would make your job easier in reducing inflation, would it not?
I don't think fiscal policy right now is a big factor driving inflation at this moment, but it's absolutely essential that we do slow the pace of growth, particularly for the areas of the budget.
All right, let's try to unpack this then. I'm not trying to trick you. You're raising interest rates. You're raising interest rates to slow the economy, are you not?
Yes, to cool the economy off.
And one of the ways you measure your success, other than fluctuation in gross domestic product, is the unemployment rate. Is it not?
Yes, one of the measures.
Okay. So in effect, I'm not being critical. When you're slowing the economy, you're trying to put people out of work. That's your job, is it not?
Not really. We're trying to restore price stability.
No, you're trying to raise
not wages.
You're trying to raise the unemployment rate.
There are a lot of.
That mean I know you don't like the phrase, so let me strike it. You're trying to raise the unemployment.
Okay, I think I found it. This is what I was looking for. Yeah, it is. Oh, this was fucking great. This was fucking hilarious.
About 1,000 tweets. And it wasn't just about Republicans. And I don't mind disagreements in policy. I think that's great. I love the dialectic. But the comments were personal. I mean, you call Senator Sanders everything but an ignorant slut.
That is not true.
And when you said these...
You called him everything but an ignorant slut. Oh, God. I probably disagree with Kennedy on a lot of stuff, but that is fucking hilarious.
Unemployment rate, not?
No, we're not trying to raise it. We're trying to realign supply and demand. Which
You've never seen that one? Oh, that one was great.
Like, for example, just
yeah, it was like
let me put it
Facebook
way,
one.
okay?
Or no, it was near Tannen, so it was...
The
I forget what
Economist
the fuck it was for.
did a wonderful study. They looked at 10 disinflationary periods in America going all the way back to the 1950s. Disinflation is what you're trying to do. It's a slowing in the rate of inflation. Am I right?
Yes.
In other words, prices don't go down, they just don't go up as fast. Deflation is when prices actually go down. You're trying to achieve disinflation, are you not?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Based on history, in the 10 times that we got inflation down, disinflation since the 1950s, in order to reduce inflation by 2%, unemployment had to go up 3.6%. Now, that's history, is it not?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yes.
How do you not? Okay, so this is... Okay, so something that really irritates the fuck out of me whenever they bring these economist guys on, like, one of the things that really fucking frustrates me is, like, these guys always fucking pride themselves on, like, all this fucking data, all this fucking, like, ideological, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the predictability of, like, an economy based on, like, you know, values and the like the ideological values of our system of capitalism, right? And, like, and every single time they come on here and, like, one senator or, like, two senators, whoever it might be, whoever's fucking grilling them, gets on there and is like, hey, so this thing that you're doing, are you aware that over the course of, like, 50 years or so, this has happened and has never led to this outcome? And suddenly, fucking suddenly, like, everybody is just like, oh nope, I don't, yeah, I don't fucking remember any of this happening. I couldn't tell you, you know, I don't have the graphs, I don't have the this, I don't have the that, and it's just fucking disgraceful. It's fucking disrespectful. It's like these people make decisions that are going to affect the economy broadly for millions upon millions of people, and when asked a simple question of what have been the outcomes whenever this or that policy have been implemented, or this or that effect was taken in terms of the economy? Like, what are the effects of these things? And somehow they can never seem to like find the answer to that, even though they can always defend their decisions. They can always defend their ideological biases in terms of like what their options are. Like it's just annoying as shit. I always fucking hate that shit. It's like, be honest here. You know what you're fucking doing. You know what increasing what's the word I'm looking for? The unemployment is going to do to wages and is going to do to regular Americans. Like, stop playing like you don't fucking know the effects of these things. You somehow know the effects of like only the good things, but somehow all the bad stuff. I don't know. I have no idea.
Standard has been that there have been recessions and downturns when the Fed has tried to reduce inflation.
Now, right now, the current inflation rate's 6.4%, and the current unemployment rate's 3.4%.
Fuck yeah, you're right. Fucking
if
billions.
History is right. I'm not asking you to again blame anybody, but if history is right, unless you get some help, in order to get inflation down from 6.4% to, let's say, 4.4%, and the unemployment rate is going to have to rise to 7% based on history.
That's what the record would say.
Okay. And to get inflation down to 2.2% based on history, an immutable fact.
God, I love these glasses too.
Unemployment would have to go to 10.6%.
Why does he have like the tiger, like?
Would it not?
Why does he have like your stepmom's
that's
like?
What the record that's what the history shows.
Fucking reading glasses.
I don't think that kind of a number is at all in play here.
I know you're reluctant to admit it, and you don't want to get in the middle of a policy dispute. But I think it's undeniable. It's undeniable that the only way we're going to get this sticky inflation down is to attack it on the monetary side, which you're doing, and on the fiscal side, which means Congress has got to reduce the rate of growth of spending and reduce the rate of growth of debt accumulation. Now, I get that you don't want to get in the middle of that fight.
What are these?
But the more
these don't have stuff in them.
On the fiscal side,
make sure I'm not
throwing people you're going to have to put out of work. Isn't that a fact?
Please answer.
Could work out that way.
Okay.
Could work. Motherfucker. Okay, yeah, I think, I had actually seen this. Thank you for bringing this up, because I had seen this. This is the other one that I saw.
Mr. Chairman. So the Fed has raised interest rates 8 times over the last year in what has been the most extreme rate hike cycle in 40 years. The Fed's goal is to slow inflation, and your tool, raising interest rates, is designed to slow the economy and throw people out of work. So far, you haven't tipped the economy into recession, but you haven't brought inflation entirely under control either.
I like the lavender
and
color.
Maybe the reason for that is that other things are also keeping prices high, things you can't fix with high interest rates, things like price gouging and supply chain kinks and a war in Ukraine.
And keep in mind, raising the interest rates is essentially raising the ability for companies to borrow money to either cover their payroll, to make investments into the company, or just generally to borrow money to keep running the company. With interest rates, the percentage increasing, so many times each year, it's why you're seeing like a lot of kind of the hiring slowdown. I can actually put a one-to-one example to this. At my job personally, at my place of employment, we have lost 3 people in the last like month. And you would think after losing like 3 people, one of them being like a shift like supervisor, like you would assume that like, like you've lost like a key lead member of your team and like 2 other like main, like pretty seasoned employees. You would think that they'd be looking to replace them. But that actually hasn't happened. We have still yet, and as far as I'm aware, with talking to people, there's no interest in hiring for those positions, filling those gaps. Instead, what's happening is a handful of us have been pushed kind of out of our normal schedules and into closing schedules now. Normally, I would be working kind of on the midday shift into the nighttime ish time, depending on how long I was there for. But now I now am working mostly closing shifts, which leaves me at my job until like midnight, if not like 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and with also less staff to actually close our kitchen and everything else with. And like stuff like this, these are the effects that you see like on the ground in your workplace. So when like employees leave and then suddenly there's like more work for you, the work is now divvied up between less people. Now everyone's working harder, everyone's staying later, everyone's doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, and everybody's obviously asking the question of, when are we going to fill these positions? When are we going to fill these roles? And most like managers of most businesses are going to be like, oh yeah, there's like talk about like, we're kind of trying to slow down on hiring right now because, it's kind of like the moment, and just like things right now, we're not very busy. Like, again, I work in a place where like, they'll use the excuse of like, well, we're not really like busy right now. But like, Ant-Man just came out, Creed just came out, John Wick 4 is going to come out at the end of the month. So like we're all sitting there like, what do you mean we're slow right now? Like, why are hours being cut? Why are like we not filling these gaps? Even though you're telling me it's because we're slow, it's because businesses isn't like, we're not serving enough customers. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. When it's like, these are the things where they won't tell you, oh, it's because the interest rate for us to borrow money so that we can keep running the business and pay people has gone up, meaning our like investment into your employment, our margin of like income is now gone down a bit. We need to recuperate some of that. This is where all of that comes from like a worker's standpoint. That's the effect that you're going to see, and you're never going to hear it from your boss. You're never going to hear it from your boss, never hear it from your manager, probably never hear it from like the like GM of your building, assuming you don't work in like a small business. And even then, I really highly doubt you're going to hear it from small business owners either. I've worked for them too, and they also tend to obscure facts or just not tell you stuff, and just like, they just won't tell you. They'll just be like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Like, oh, we can't give you a raise this year because, oh, we just didn't do well last year. But then all last year, all they did was talk about how well we did last year. Like, or they're like, oh, I just bought, owners will be like, oh, I just bought like a new car, but then be like, oh, but we don't have the money for like, fixing this at the store or whatever it might be. But these are the results of that. But anyway.
You are determined to continue to raise interest rates, so I want to take a look at where you're headed. In December, the Fed released its projections on the state of the economy under your monetary policy plan. According to the Fed's own report, if you continue raising interest rates as you plan, unemployment will be 4.6.
Oh, let me enlighten you for the specifics of the function of movie theaters. Any theater makes almost no money on the actual ticket sales. Ticket sales mean almost nothing to a certain point. The amount of money you're actually getting from like any ticket sale, it's rather small. All of it is food sales nowadays. It's why you see the industry pivoting to dine-in theaters now. If they overhire, they might have to fire or go out of it. Yeah, so I would like, they're not going out of business. We're too large of a company. But like some like very small local companies, like local businesses absolutely will do that. They absolutely will like go out of business or end up having to fire people, which again really comes down to like when like certain politicians talk about like, oh, we need to care about small businesses, Small businesses are the businesses that can't weather these kind of storms as often as they have been. It's only your Walmarts, your Best Buys, your Targets, your all of those big box retailers that can weather these kind of like, uncertain times, because they've got enough spread throughout the country. This kind of stuff really strongly favors those corporations much more over the over kind of small, small town businesses, which is another another consequence of us. What's the word I'm looking for? Allowing a lot of these corporations to grow and expand as much as they have.
6% by the end of the year, more than a full point higher than it is today. Chair Powell, if you hit your projections, do you know how many people who are currently working, going about their lives, will lose their jobs?
I don't have that number in front of me. I will say it's not an intended consequence.
But it is, and it's in your report, and that would be about 2 million people who would lose their jobs. People who are working right now, making their mortgages. So, Chair Powell, if you could speak directly to the 2 million hardworking people who have decent jobs today, who you're planning to get fired over the next year, what would you say to them? How would you explain your view that they need to lose their jobs?
I would explain to people.
Everyone knows how to do math until they don't want to do math.
Inflation is extremely high, and it's hurting the working people of this country badly. All of them, not just 2 million of them, but all of them are suffering under high inflation, and we are taking the only measures we have to bring inflation down.
And putting 2 million people out of work is just part of the cost, and they just have to bear it?
Will working people be better off if we just walk away from our jobs and inflation remains 5-6%?
Let me ask you about what happens if you do this. Since the end of World War II, there have been 12 times in which
so I'm not like an economist or anything, but wouldn't another argument for like dealing with inflation be like, wouldn't it be easier? I don't know about easier, but like, wouldn't a solution be to increase the floor of wages and also to lower the lower interest rates? Like, wouldn't that be a way to address that if you give companies the leeway to increase their wages and at the very least demand that those companies do so, which would end up closing the gap between what things are costing and how much people are making? Wouldn't
unemployment rate has increased by 1 percentage point within 1 year, exactly what you're aiming to do right now. How many of those times did the U.S. economy avoid falling into a recession?
You know, it's not as black and white as very
Just
very
looking
infrequent.
at the numbers, it actually is pretty black
Alan
and white.
Blinder's written a book on this.
There have been 12 times that we've seen a 1 point increase.
Yeah,
in
but wouldn't you, if you paired that,
rate.
If you paired that with lower interest rates, wouldn't that, what's the word I'm looking for? Wouldn't that kind of soften the blow on the employers then? Because you would make it so the it wouldn't be something that like employers would like be bearing just on their expenses right now. We'll be reducing costs.
In a year, that's exactly what your Fed report has put out as the projection and the plan based on how you're going to keep raising these interest rates. How many times did the economy fail to fall into a recession?
I feel like that's like a fundamental like ideological difference then. Because like he's looking at it, I feel like from a perspective of like creating scarcity, when I don't like, at least from my perspective, I don't like in the US we don't really have the same kind of scarcity issues that I think a lot of the rest of the world has. Scarcity just isn't like a thing in the US that like that we have unless it's created by like actions like this.
Doing that out of 12 times.
I think the number is 0.
I think the number is 0. That's exactly right. So then the question becomes, we've got 2 million people out of work. Can you stop it at 2 million people? History suggests that the Fed has a terrible track record of containing modest increases in the unemployment rate. Once the economy starts shedding jobs, it's kind of like a runaway train. It is really hard to stop. In fact, in 11 out of the 12 times that the unemployment rate increased by a full percentage point within 1 year, unemployment went on to rise another full percentage point on top of that. If that's what happens this time, we'd be looking at least 3.5 million people who would lose their jobs. So, Chair Powell, if you reach your goal and 2 million people get laid off by the end of this year, and then just like in 11 out of 12 times that unemployment has risen by a point in a single year, it keeps on rising. And then we've got 2.5 million people out of work. We've got 3 million people who get laid off. We've got 3.5 million people who get laid off. What's your plan?
Well, right now the unemployment rate is 3.4%, which is the lowest in 54 years. And we actually don't think that we need to see a sharp or enormous increase in unemployment to get inflation under control.
I'm looking at your projections. Do you call laying off 2 million people this year not a sharp increase in unemployment?
Also, the real question also becomes when you send that many people onto the unemployment rolls, especially since not everybody who's unemployed has access to unemployment benefits. The question becomes how many of those people end up returning to the workforce, but then what does that end up doing to a lot of your just your society in general? We've already seen towns in lower income areas hollowed out by this kind of policy. I've driven through I remember growing up we would drive through these towns in Pennsylvania, and even when I went to Texas you see this a lot. You drive through these towns that doesn't look like they've had industry or more than 2 jobs in them, and even those are super scarce in a decade, because there's no more investment into those. And I feel like this sort of stuff robs people of those jobs, pulls money out of those neighborhoods, and I would assume that means those people now need to either stay where they are, living in these dead towns in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, or they move closer or into the cities, into the the urban centers, and even then wages still aren't all that great. They're okay. I don't know anybody who works in the city and gets paid enough to really live in the city. You've got to you had to already have been making good money, and you just wanted to be closer for work for that sort of thing. Best way to get rid of this inflation, in my opinion, would be government slashing the deficit. A balanced budget right now would be much better than mom and pop paying $1,000 extra a month on mortgages. Yeah. Well, it has more to do with the import trade laws and the interest rates. Just cheaper to buy. Yeah. And again, that's I feel like this is the case where as a country we need to get back to a lot more manufacturing, but again, you have to you have to balance that with how much companies are willing to invest, because if you can pay a worker in Mexico $2, $2 American to do the work that you're going to have to pay somebody 15 here in the States, then you're obviously not going to want to, and you're not going to want to move your warehouse or whatever back into the US. So, unfortunately, yeah. War in South China Sea.
Explain that to the 2 million families who are going to be out of work.
We're not targeting any of that. But I would say even 4.5% unemployment is well better than most of the time for the last 75 years.
In other words, you don't have a plan to stop a runaway train if it occurs.
Deal with it.
Chair Powell, you are gambling with people's lives, and there's a pile of data showing that price gouging and supply chain kinks and the war in Ukraine are driving up prices. You cling to the idea that there's only one solution: lay off millions of workers. We need a Fed that will fight for families. And if you're not going to lead that charge, we need someone at the Fed who will.
Respect it. Yeah, I would have to agree. I think overall, it always comes down, what I notice with a lot of the Fed stuff, I notice it always kind of comes down to what people think is kind of in the realm of possibility. Kind of an example of what I'm thinking of again is kind of the railway monopolies that we have. I tend to notice Biden and a lot of Democrats do this whole fucking dance of we need to hold them accountable, or we need to work with them to help things get fixed, and we need to delegate a lot of this, that, or the other, right? And to me, it always feels like they're never willing to like make the strong like the strong like threat of like, okay, you're a railway company, you're like poisoning towns across America because you're like transporting like you know, hazardous materials or whatever the fuck across state lines, and these things happen and these communities are affected. Cool, how about this happens again? Or if you know, or even like this was the last straw, fucking nationalize them, or at the very least have nationalization and the seizure of these companies by the US government. At least have that be something on the table to motivate them to act in accordance with better like you know, functioning. Because at the end of the day, like, the railway companies are slashing their amount of workers because they want a higher return on investment. They want to make more money. They want to increase that you know, their profit margins. But you need the government to like step in and be like, look, your profits, I got no problem with your profits until they start disrupting like our society, until they start disrupting in a truly negative, like one-to-one kind of way, you know, the kind of way the railway companies, like, you know, with the monopolization, and again with like we see stuff with East Palestine, because that's not the only crash of that kind that's happened. That's just the one that we heard about and the one that got rather popular. But like stuff like that, I'm always like, if it's never even possible, if they're never like if they never know that threat is looming, then like obviously they're never going to act within the people like whose land they're like operating in. They don't give a shit. They care about their profits. So like there's also that kind of balance. Like that's the thing with also something I don't like about. It's also why I'm not really that big of a Biden guy. Like, you know, Biden's all well and good when you put him next to most Republicans, but like stuff like that, I'm like you're not willing to do the fucking thing that you're that like you should be willing to do. But let's see, it seems like they're all following the current regulation like that. How does that, you telling me? No, fuck no. Also, like, keep in mind the actual like Ohio government, I guess, came out in I guess they did like a town meeting and they told the people of East Palestine that they're that like they did testing and that their, you know, their water, their air, all of that stuff is fine, right? But the people in that town are reporting like, I'm feeling nauseous, I'm feeling sick, I'm feeling dizzy, da 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 da. They're like reporting all this stuff that's like, hey, I don't, you're telling me you're telling me the air, the water is clear, but why do I have all of these like effects that tell me absolutely otherwise, right? And they ended up finding out, I think it was an investigative journalist found out that the government in East Palestine, you know, I think it was like the mayor or whoever the fuck, they worked with the company Norfolk Southern to basically, they asked them to do the tests and everything and to pay for the tests, have the tests done, everything else, right? Instead of like the CDC or even like local, you know, Ohio state, like, you know, CDC or whoever the fuck would normally do that. Instead of them coming in and the government coming in testing these things, they delegated it to the corporation Norfolk Southern to test the water, to test the air. Now, because they did that, they left it up to Norfolk Southern, and you know what they did? They hired a private company to also do those tests, who are now contracted by Norfolk Southern, who then came back and shockingly gave them wonderful scores in terms of the water, wonderful scores in terms of the air. And then, you know, they come back and go, see, we got this other company to do it for us, who, by the way, we're paying and we need them to give us a good answer. And look at that. The air's fine. The water's fine. Meanwhile, people of East Palestine continue to report nausea, throwing up, headaches, like migraines, all this sort of stuff at an elevated rate. So it's like kind of obvious that like the government there is corrupt. Like the government there just like either A, doesn't have the capacity or will to actually like defend its citizens, B, that Norfolk Southern obviously isn't interested in making sure that the people of that town are safe. They're just interested in getting all of them off of their back. They've already committed like some fucking like, you know, fucking nickel in the fucking bucket bullshit to like help the people of East Palestine, and they're like, we don't want to spend money on this. We want to pay some guys to get us off the hook, and then we can go and fuck off and go and continue to run our trains poorly. In which, by the way, I think like a week later there was another derailment. I don't know if there was the same kind of like chemical shit on that train, but like this is like, again, us hearing about East Palestine is like only there to tell you like, you just heard about this one, but there's many other instances of this. I think like I remember hearing like a number. It was kind of a lot, but yeah, it's just like if you're never going to threaten them, it's kind of like how like, you know, the banks fucking crashed the economy back in 2008, and then what do? We have them pay us back the money, we bail them out, and nothing. And they're back to doing the same kind of predatory gambling and everything else. If any company breaks any like labor laws or does any of this stuff, they've already got it written in to their budgets that they're like, we're going to lose this much, we're going to make $10 million. We're probably going to get sued by the government. They're going to take $2 million, which means we get an $8 million profit. Boom, no problem. Like, we should be confiscating all of this profit to, at the very least, like, incentivize them or at least force them to like think twice whenever they do something that's going to negatively affect the populaces that they operate around. But Biden won't do it. Biden just won't do it. Let's see, government fails to do its job. Yeah, government regulators, that's I want more and better regulators. Money as you want, just follow the rules and regulations. Government does not enforce regulations, it feels like. The laws say the sheriff is out to lunch. Yeah, I'm new. Is this based right or left wing? I'm based left wing. Deadly pube. Why does the government do shit like that? Oh Jesus! If they can't test water, right? Like, and it's not because they can't. It's because they just don't want to. Poison it with fluoride, a big helper for health. Don't even start on the MK Ultra stuff. I'm right wing. I'm not super surprised, but I appreciate you sticking around. I appreciate you being open-minded to hang out in a left-wing stream. Anyway, okay, we talked a little bit about economics, mainly because honestly that was just more interesting than the topic I had originally lined up. Are you aware? I'm assuming everyone here is aware of. I'm not there. Okay, thank you. I'm left. I'll let them feel mad outnumbered. Welcome to my world. Being left is, at least online, a life of being outnumbered. Should see my YouTube comments sections. They're always fun. But anyway, I'm going to assume you guys know what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are, right? I'm assuming everyone kind of knows what that is. So, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they've been around for quite a long time. They've been left us on Twitch. There's been I grew up on the original live action movies, which I still think are wonderful. A little bit on the animated show. I didn't watch that much of the animated show. And then they rebooted it. They did the kind of animated Turtles and like, God, when was that? When was that? That was like, what is it? Was it Michael, I know Michael Bay directed that. Which one was that? Oh my God, that was 2014. My God. Anyway, yeah. So 2014 they had like the reboot, the reboot with like the animated Turtles. I didn't see it. It looked just okay, but I don't like Michael Bay. But find me one, not this guy. Hey! Are we name calling in chat right now? Are you name calling right now? Are you name calling right now? I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate the name calling. Anyway. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they're getting a reboot. It looks actually fine to me. I don't have a super strong opinion on it. I haven't watched or cared about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a while. But there are people on the internet who identify themselves as like nerds and as like the geeks of another era, and like I take a lot of this stuff personally, and this is where you guys are allowed to say, Josh, you're in your feelings on this one, because I am. I don't like people who come on here and like try to do like the I'm speaking up for the real nerds, the real geeks. I don't appreciate that, because as a nerd, as a geek, as somebody who is, you know, not into the cool stuff that people were into when I was growing up, I take a certain offense to that. You know, you're speaking for people that I hold dear to my heart. And so we have, also I'm going to skip this intro because it's like always super fucking loud. And so we have the channel
if you criticize
of
this
Geeks
movie,
and Gamers.
if you criticize this trailer.
Shut up. I never said play. I just full screen. Why does that always, but also never happen? Like sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't. I hit full screen and sometimes it's like we're gonna play the video, and sometimes I hit full screen and it's like we're not gonna play the video, and like it's like a fucking horror movie. I don't know whether to be like to jump or to like, you know, to be ready for it or not. Ugh, fucking annoying. Anyway, okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. Geeks and Gamers is mad. I love making fun of this guy because he's a fucking idiot. Let's just go. I just want to have some fun with this, okay? I just let me have some fun for me. Let me yell at the cringy, like, the cringy nerds on YouTube for a few minutes, okay? Then we'll get back to, like, hardcore politics.
You're racist, you're sexist,
Oh,
you're
true.
fat phobic,
Yes.
you're every phobic and every ism
Yes.
that has ever been created.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and just get it out of the way for all of
Yes.
the programmed
let me move chat up,
NPCs that are
actually.
going to respond exactly how
Nope,
you would
that's the
expect
wrong
them
one.
to respond, because at this point in time, it's beyond a meme now. These weirdos, these psychopaths in Hollywood simply are so
we'll move
far
you guys
over
up here
the
so we
line.
can block all
Remember
of his
when
socials.
this started out
You
with
should follow
Ghostbusters
this
2016?
channel, not this channel.
That's really where a
Not this
lot of
guy's one.
people started to realize what was going on.
Seek
and
to
then we
achieve
got into
social
The Last
equality and egalitarianism.
Jedi.
I
We
don't
are
know English.
now so far over the line
Deadly Pube, what
of
aren't you?
them just pushing nonsense and identity politics. And did you know that April O'Neil is not only black, she's fat as well? So that's double
Oh my God.
oppression Olympics. You're not allowed
Amazing.
to criticize her at all. And if you do, you're going to be labeled. And we all know the same song and dance from the
Yes.
same exact people that
Yep.
will yell all day because Eric July made $4 million on his independent.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay, so I'm assuming he'll play the trailer. But yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, they like redesign pretty much all the characters to one extent or another, and April O'Neil is black now, which, oh my God, that's terrible. How could she ever, how could April O'Neil, a character who's, let's be honest here, hardly a character in the actual movies or the original show, how could they make her black? Oh my God.
Comic book company. A bunch of white leftists are really mad that a black man
As someone who
is
spent a lot of time
succeeding. But
also
if we
in like high school
criticize
and early
straight up
college,
ridiculous
going to the
identity
comic shop,
politics,
like
and this only exists
every like
so that
what
it can be weaponized. But let's watch this ridiculous
sometimes 4
trailer
times a
first,
week. That's
and
also
then
what I
we
take
will
offense to.
continue.
I take
Let me
offense that this guy
introduce
speaks
you
for the
to Mutant
for
Mayhem, the new Teenage
for
Mutant
comic
Ninja
book fans.
Turtles teaser trailer in theaters August 4th, 2023. Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Will I get like DMCA'd for like the trailer? I don't think so, right? Like okay, but they're playing music. Okay, we're gonna click through it because I don't want to get in trouble. Okay, April O'Neil, as you can see, she's now black. Crazy, I know. Cool. Okay. Oh, man, I really hope I don't get in trouble with YouTube. Hopefully, they don't complain to me.
This is so stupid.
I don't get, yeah, I shouldn't get in trouble for trailers, right? It's like a trailer, like.
And I mean, right there, that name should tell you all you need to know.
Oh yeah, this dude. Somehow this dude always fucking mauls whenever like anybody is a, like, anything. Like I can never get the appeal of these channels because they just mauled whenever like 5 people end up doing literally anything. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe Seth Rogen. Even though I don't. Is Seth Rogen woke now? It seems like he's like a stoner.
Right there, a leftist psychopath.
Also, I really like the art style for the for this new one. Like, I might go see this just based on the art style. Like, it's kind of clear that they're trying to do like something more distinct to be like what's it called? Stop playing music, god damn it.
Hey, why do we pick a fruit?
Chill.
Stop playing music.
Little Shreks to me.
Oh, we prepared.
Okay, cool.
Donnie bleed.
Okay, cool.
You were baby.
And there is
Okay, there we
the
go.
fat black April O'Neil. And if you criticize her or this,
I love the idea that he's like, if you and it's like, are the criticism police gonna bash through your wall like the fucking vegan police and come and de-criticize you or something? Like, nothing's gonna happen. Like, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, it's like, well, first of all, yeah, if your complaint is this character's like overweight or whatever, that like we shouldn't have overweight people in our media, then like the question becomes at that point, like, but there are overweight people in real life. Like, are we allowed to depict like people similar to the real world? Like, is that a thing we're allowed to do? Yeah. Same with black people. It's like fine.
film or her weight or anything, you already know all of the isms and ist and
Yes,
all of
if
the
your
nonsense
problem
that's
is
gonna
that
be
she's
labeled
black,
against.
that does
But
make you
at this point,
racist.
does anyone really care about these labels? No. You don't care.
Well,
I don't care.
you-
Normal
well,
people don't care.
for
because
someone
we
who doesn't care, you seem to
understand
talk about
what's
it a
going on
lot.
here, and it's been going on.
I wonder if I
and
could
it is
ever,
so far over the
I wonder if I
line.
could ever,
And
like,
as I
debate
said
this
many
dude.
times, with social justice nonsense,
Skinnier.
it never fails.
Yeah,
and
do you think
there's
it'd be-
never
yeah,
enough. It
really.
doesn't
We need to
matter
fix
how much
justice for
you
Jabba.
try and work with social justice freaks. They are never satisfied, and they are always going to take it too far. And then once they've taken it too far,
You've taken
they're
it too
going
far.
to go
You made her
10
black.
more miles over the line. Social justice does not care about anything other than being fake offended and creating reasons for you to be upset. So that
This is also like only from like, this is only the perspective of somebody who's like never had an opinion and only had like this dude. This is the perspective of somebody who's never come to like a thought on their own. Their opinion is only one of opposition to somebody else. It's like, if you've ever had like that friend who you're like, my favorite kind of ice cream is chocolate, and they go like out of their way to be like, well, mine's vanilla because I think chocolate is fucking degenerate, is fucking garbage. I think chocolate tastes like fucking tree bark. And you're like, calm down. I just said I like chocolate. You don't have to like chocolate. And there's like, no. You're saying that chocolate is an inferior flavor. How fucking dare you? You fucking wokester. You like chocolate probably because you're racist. Like, it's like, have an opinion of your own, man. Like, have you ever had an opinion that wasn't just based on opposition of somebody else's actual opinion? Fuck's sake.
they can then take your anger or your displeasure.
I was gonna
and
Google
then
something. Oh, yeah.
turn that into racism or whatever it is that they're labeling it. So this right here is a complete and total joke beyond belief. It's another Little Mermaid. It's another Ghostbusters 2016. And
notice how both examples are like the outrage that like came up was Little Mermaid's black now, and the Ghostbusters are now women. Like those are the substantive critiques. You weren't gonna
simply
get
shows you that the people
other
in Hollywood
Ghostbusters
do not
movies.
care at all in any capacity. This is going to be a disaster
Teenage
beyond
Mutant
belief.
Ninja
I grew up with the Ninja
Turtles,
Turtles. I
Teenage
loved the
Mutant
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja
They were
Turtles.
awesome.
Cool. Hey. I don't know this guy's name, but let me speak to him personally. Hey. I need you to like reckon with and come to the understanding that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles aren't yours, and you can go fuck off. Let's be really, really clear here. The kind of like ownership, the kind of what's the word, entitlement that these kind of guys express is utterly toxic. Because it's like this, like, I grew up in Ninja Turtles. I get to say what Ninja Turtles is. Not these new kids. New kids don't get to say what Ninja Turtles is. Same with Star Wars. These kids, Star Wars is supposed to be mine. Like, that's what you're doing. That's what you are, my guy. You're the person who's just, like, clinging to your fucking April O'Neil fucking love pillow. And you're like, you can't take this away from me. Like, how about this? How about this? Have a life outside of the media you grew up consuming. Just a crazy thought. Just a crazy thought.
They have their own unique personalities, and for people like Seth Rogen and anyone else involved with this production just to take this and actively push identity politics into it just for the sake of doing it tells you everything you need to know. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video.
Did you notice also? Okay, so did you notice? Okay, so everyone knows, like, April O'Neil, right, from the cartoons? Like, okay, where is it? What the fuck? Why is this so zoomed out? Why is this so zoomed out? No, give me like a... Oh my god, no, give me like a... Okay, here we go, OG, okay. So, we're all aware of... Oh my god, that's not what I wanted. You dumb fucking thing. You stupid thing. Okay, so April O'Neil, right? Like, red hair, pretty big bazongas there, right? Like, all right. Was there like this insane, like, outrage when... Let me see if I can find it. I just saw it too. I'm so fucking mad. Where is it? It was from the movie. Where's the movie? Here it is. Like, was anybody... was guys like this complaining when they fucking gave her, like, curly hair and kind of toned down the, like, the redheadedness? No. Because it's not about, like... Their opposition isn't any changes to the character. Their opposition is to very specific changes, which, funnily enough, end up being, you made my character black, you made my character fat. Having those be the start and stop of your criticism, by definition, means that you're a bit fat phobic and certainly a bit racist. I don't know what to tell you, my friend. Like, if those are your substantive critiques, I can't help you. Those are just that's just how I describe you. I don't have time to go through all of this every single time you complain. But shouldn't be shocked. Like, yeah, like, of course we're gonna call you that because you've kind of demonstrated that you've, like, you're like, that's as deep as you're gonna go with your criticism of a piece of media. Like, that kind of just tells me you're a bit racist. Make to real topics because these social issues are getting wildly boring and people look like fools. What the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Nuts about what are the real issues? I tend to notice that you know as somebody on the right wing, are you, like, tired of all the, like, the cultural issues being, like, the thing that your spectrum, kind of your side of the political polls, seems to be a little bit more interested in? Genuinely asking, what is happening? What is happening? Why do you keep doing things? 1 second. It keeps... Just pause for a minute, YouTube video. Jesus Christ. Okay, there we go. Okay. Like, this real thing is going to happen or is happening. Not this dude's opinion about that. Yeah. I despise the social conservatives. They get all the attention. They do. And they're about to get a little bit more attention, unfortunately. Because the next video is are you familiar with Hunter Avallone by any chance? Is that somebody you're familiar with? Because apparently he is, you know, apparently the lovely Matt Walsh seems to be, like, on a bit of a tirade recently. You know, he's really cutting people out of the movement, which, from a political standpoint, is pretty ineffective as far as I can tell. Shrinking the size of your coalition and kicking people out of your coalition is generally not the smartest way to go about building political power. But Matt Walsh seems to be really, really concerned with the purity of his movement. So I kind of want to see some blood sports. I mean, I kind of want to see what strong arguments he has to bear on this moment. So, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I get to. Ooh, I'm excited. We get Mr. Peanut to join us. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Anyway. How loud is this going to be? It's going to be like super
Today
loud.
we cancel someone named Hunter Avalone. He's apparently a
And they have,
YouTuber
like,
and Twitch streamer with a moderately large following, though I'd never heard of him.
Am I crazy?
It came to my attention thanks to a clip posted to Twitter by Addison Smith of OAN. Now, what came to my attention is that Hunter posted a lengthy video to his YouTube channel reacting to my testimony in front of the Tennessee House Committee about their now passed legislation banning child gender transitions.
570
Hunter
followers.
is
Okay.
apparently
Or
a big
570,000,
fan of child
sorry.
castration. He's a fierce advocate of castrating children.
I too despise the Daily
And so,
Wire.
as we'll see, he doesn't like me very much. Here's the clip that was on Twitter. It's very short. Check it out.
See.
Adolescent children.
Pull chat down.
As far as surgeries, double mistake.
Wait, giving kids the puberty blockers after they've been confirmed gender dysphoric and they've consented and their therapists have consented and their doctors have consented and their parents have consented.
True.
And they've been persistent in gender dysphoria for a minimum of 6 months. Yeah, that's actually a good thing, Matt.
Oh, 6 whole months, you say? Well,
Also despise
we
that.
all know that no child
You like
will outgrow a
Candace?
phase after 6
Ah.
months. 6 months is when it's set in stone.
Should I find a Candace
I have
video?
never seen my own kids be interested in something or go through a phase that lasts 6 whole months. I mean, in 6 months, this is their identity now. Might as well chemically castrate them, right? What else are we supposed to do? I mean, we could do exactly what we had already been doing for all of human history up until 18 seconds ago. We could just let kids go through their phases, let them grow out of it, instead of locking them in place and turning an awkward moment into a lifelong identity crisis. We could do that. But before we get too far in addressing Hunter's points, we should be fair and get the entire context. I had a little bit of a back and forth with him on Twitter yesterday where he fleshed out his argument, such as it is. He explained that children can consent to these, quote, treatments because the parents and doctors also consent. I asked...
Wait, that's not how that works exactly. Kids consent to medical treatment all the time. Now, they do not have the ability to be the sole consenting party, usually. But generally, there is an age of consent for children, specifically for medical practices.
Well, how does the consent of the adult somehow validate the consent of the child? In other words,
what is
if
that?
a child
Wait,
cannot
what?
consent to making permanent life-altering decisions, how does the consent of the adult around the child change that? And he responded that he's only talking about...
Wait. Kids all the time consent to life-altering... what is life-altering changes? There's any number of medical practices that are life-altering. Some of them include giving you medicine so you don't die. But we wouldn't call that life-altering. Kids break arms. It would be life-altering to not have your arm reset. That is true. Okay.
Puberty blockers, not the cross-sex hormones or surgeries. In fact, you clarified that hormones and surgery should wait until the child turns 18, according to, in his opinion. But puberty blockers are different because they are a life-saving medical intervention, he claimed.
Not to bud. Or is it no to bud? Have I been reading that wrong? There is a space in between those. It's no to bud. I'm sorry. What's weird about it?
He also noted that I am an ape and I should go F myself.
Oh, that's so true.
When I asked how it could ever be appropriate to chemically castrate a child, which is what the puberty blocker does.
Nope, doesn't do it.
Quote, firstly, too much Tylenol can kill you.
Notorious.
Puberty blockers
I like that.
can be
That's
detrimental
good.
if given in large doses, but beneficial when given in proper doses. Why is this so hard for your chimp brain to grasp? Medicine can be good. Too much medicine can be bad. He later insisted again, smaller doses of puberty blockers are not chemical castration. I'm fine with puberty blockers for minors. Surgery and hormones shouldn't be given until unless 18 years or older.
Yeah,
Go
like,
back to being the creepy
kind of
dude hanging
how
outside
it
the high
is.
school, you degenerate scum.
He did have a video. Yeah. God damn, Hunter. Ether the man. Strange to me.
I had to ask about 3 or 4 times for any
What's strange
evidence
about
that
it?
puberty blockers are life-saving, as he claimed. And finally, after furiously Googling for whatever random studies he could find, but certainly not read, he responded, quote, "Sure, I've attached some evidence below. Since you're too retarded to read yourself, firstly,
Dude,
here's a cohort of trans
dropping
people
the
over 40 plus years
R
showing
slur.
that no increase of suicide was present after transition. Although the suicide risk remained higher, this was due to social issues, not transition. Secondly, here's a study
Damn.
which found that puberty suppression and affirmation care was correlated with a 70% decrease in suicidal thoughts.
I think I remember
So again,
that reading.
go
I
F
think I remember
yourself,
bringing
you
that one up
pathetic ape man.
with the dude who came on the
Okay,
other
so-
day.
Now everyone's up to speed. A few points, Hunter. First of all, you appear to be about 13 years old, but as far as I know, you're actually a full-grown man, technically, which means that you should understand by now that a weak argument doesn't become strong just by tacking an insult onto the end of it. Actually, that makes your
That
weak
is a complete lie. Only good arguments, all good arguments have an insult in them. Mainly because you are insulting the other person's intelligence. If I give you a study and say this study refutes your claim, that's good. But if I slam down a study in your face, in front of your wife, and call you a dumb fuck, that is way better. That is way better. Especially if I go on to fuck your wife because you're a cuck, like Matt Walsh.
argument look even weaker. And it makes you look like a child in the process. And this is a special problem for you since you already look like a child.
Ah, yes.
And if
the
you
pedo,
are going to go the insult
pedo
route,
would
you
know
probably
what
don't
children
wanna
look
throw
like.
terms like degenerate around. Remember, you're the one in this conversation passionately defending the right of a doctor to give a child the same drug they use to chemically castrate sex offenders. I'm on the anti-child castration side of
He
discussion.
does realize that we also give ibuprofen to sex offenders when they have migraines, right? Like, that's not an argument. We use the same drugs to treat the same symptoms regardless of whether you're a murderer, pedophile, a fucking Sacagawea, or a Mother Teresa. It doesn't matter. You're going to be given the same fucking drugs to alleviate your migraine regardless. That's not a strong argument, dipshit.
You're on the pro side. So you're free to stake out that ground if you want, but you are unfortunately precluded from ever calling
Will Matt
anyone
Walsh
else a
ever debate
degenerate
somebody? I don't
ever
think he
again
will.
in
He
your
really
entire
shouldn't.
life.
He got
Second,
upended.
I'm
He got
afraid
like
that I'm not
fucking blown the
impressed
fuck out by
ability to
Joe
Google
Rogan.
a study that confirms whatever conclusion you
My
already
God,
landed
you
on
found
and fling it at the other
evidence.
side after briefly skimming the abstract.
My God.
It's not how you win an argument. You don't just go to Google, studies that confirm what I already believed. Oh, here's one. See?
So what do you do, Matt? Do you just continue to talk emptily about the topic? Because, like, again, Hunter gave you 2 studies that, like, refute your claim, and only somebody who doesn't give a shit about evidence, somebody who doesn't give a shit about outcome, somebody who doesn't give a shit about anything they say because they're motivated by their emotions, by their feelings, would immediately just throw out clear and obvious evidence that they're incorrect. There's a reason why. I have my misgivings with Hunter on certain topics, but, like, at the end of the day, if your entire argument if your entire counter to, oh, you brought evidence, well, you just typed in that you just went looking for evidence that proved your claim that you were already familiar with. What are you gonna do now, liberal? What if I show you a study that, by the way, doesn't exist, that disagrees with your summation, sir? But, like, you know, you can't do that. You know, he's not gonna be able to. He'll find, like, random data points and do his own like analysis of those. But by no means is that analysis scientific or objective. But I don't think kids should do any drugs, but I think all the plastics, pollutions, hormone emitters. Oh my God, that's a word. We have in our environment is going to cause issues with the endocrine system, and could easily lead to, as Alex Jones would put it, they're turning the friggin' frogs gay. So when we talk about drugs, like, we do quite like kids are given Tylenol, any kind of like, I'm trying to think of like all the drugs, like Mucinex, any of this stuff. Kids, there are like instructions for like, if under what is it? It's like usually 12 and under, or like 12. I think it's like usually 12 or older, and then it's like 4 and under, and or whatever those numbers might be. Go to any like drug facts, like on your jar of Tylenol or whatever the fuck, and there's usually like 4 adults, 4 children, and there's like dosages and also time frames that you take them in. That's all that we're really talking about. Like in terms of drugs, I'm not like a fan of the way that we develop and the way that we commodify drugs in the US, but by no means have I ever seen that like any of the actual usage has led to anything, just because they're privately held. As much as I have my issues with the private pharmaceutical companies, the actual science and the actual like development of the drugs, I am less skeptical of. It's the business side of it and the motivations behind that business side that I have issues with. In terms of turning the freaking frogs gay, unfortunately, there's just no real evidence to say that, like, but like as a good example, we know that lead paint causes I could be wrong, but I believe it's swelling in the brain that can lead to an increase in violent tendencies. And the way we found that out is through studying some of the like the brains or the activity of people who lived around and in environments that were surrounded by lead paint. We understand the effects of lead paint on people who live in that environment. I'm, right above me, there's lead paint right up there. Maybe that's why I yell on the internet so much. But like, we already see that there's really no version of that for, turning the frogs gay or the humans gay. Like, I would agree that the plastics and all the rest of that stuff certainly has had an influence over like the the ecological health of the American people, but by no means does any of this push you towards like sexual orientation at all. Apparently for an infection is way different than hijacking the endocrine system for potentially a lifetime. I mean, potentially is doing a lot of work there. People take antidepressants. Those don't last forever. They do have a window of effect and how long that they're going to stay and have an effect on your brain chemistry. Lead in the gasoline was a big one. Yeah, that too. Okay, that's a good example, I think. Fucking didn't the other dude mention fucking fluoride? That MK Ultra shit. Transition hormones, though. Are you on that for life? No. Or the majority of it. If you transition with hormones, though you are on that for life. No. I mean, you can not take hormones at any point. You can stop taking hormones. Now, usually, if you're the process of detransitioning is complicated, but like if you are, to put it kind of in a very simple terms, if you are 9 and you go on puberty blockers because you're not sure if you would like to continue developing as a boy or into a man, or if you would be more comfortable developing into a girl and then into a woman, right? You go on puberty blockers at 9. Maybe you make the decision at 10 that, oh, actually, I would like to pursue, growing into a woman. And, maybe at 12, you decide, actually, this isn't really for me. Now, the way that the way that you would like get them to the puberty that they want is you'd put them on there are sounds outside my window. I think it's a dog. You would put them on like estrogen for that like 2-year span while they're like trying to develop as a woman, or into a woman, I should say. And, you know, if they're like actually JK, or like, you know, it's not really for me, whatever that is, they simply go off of them. Usually you'd probably have to go on testosterone for a little bit to catch you up, but then eventually you'd get off of all of them and just develop normally. These are rather like the hormone stuff is like rather malleable if done at a certain time frame, or at a certain like age, basically. Let's see. If you transition, majority of it. Yeah, okay to me if you can make a decision. Yeah, like a lot of people, the problem I have with like I had somebody on what was that, Monday? On Monday I talked with a UK person, with a Brit about this, and their issue was like, oh well, like trans affirming care pushes people down the path of becoming trans, when the actual, and like part of his hang up was around like puberty blockers, and like Matt Walsh describes puberty blockers as chemical castration. They're not. They simply pause your puberty until you can make that decision for yourself as to which direction you want to go, puberty wise, I suppose. We have them and we develop them for intersex people who, you know, might have, who might be somewhere in the middle, and kind of for them to make that decision. I remember there's like a I don't know if you're American, but like there's an episode of House. It's like a doctor show or whatever, but it's like but they had like an episode on it where like the kid was like intersex, but his parents, I believe, put him on Canadian, right? His parents put him on testosterone because they wanted a son, right? But he grew into being kind of more of a feminine boy who was more into boys, and like through the course of the show, they didn't initially tell him that information, and he was like sick with some kind of specific disease thing that led to this or that. Like they get around to the point of discovering actually this young boy was intersex. He wasn't aware of this because the parents never told him that, but he was starting to like kind of wonder, like, why am I into girl things? Like, why do I feel like a girl in some kind of way? And that's what we developed. And for those people is kind of what we developed the hormone blockers, and then the hormones for, amongst other things. There's also just women who don't develop, and like girls and boys who don't develop, and even women and men who are having developmental issues, and you give them those to kind of basically boost their secondary sex characteristics usually. But yeah, it's just so people can make the decision for themselves. No kids are like are getting on hormone blockers on 9, becoming a girl at 10 and getting the surgeries at 11. That's just not happening. And if it is, it's like incredibly marginal. And even in like most surgeries that like, maybe if it's like breast reduction surgery, even if it's happening for a girl that might be 11, like most likely that's because they want to avoid like back issues and health complications in the future. It's not like exclusively for trans people, but or even possibly trans people. Agent Cavanaugh. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at bringing the voting age down. I think 16 is a more reasonable voting age. Trains me that everyone going to the wall with that. Sitting here like guys, what about inflation, the war, and you get crickets? Yeah, yeah. You're not wrong. Unfortunately, like it's like one of those things where like would I appreciate a populace, a like voting like populace that was more interested in inflation and in the war stuff. Like I would appreciate people be more interested in substantive issues, but like unfortunately the way politics plays out is you kind of have to play to the crowd and you got to play to what people are talking about. You have to meet people where they are politically. And it's why I cover so much of specifically the trans issue. You know, I don't know how many segments I've done, like quite a few, and like I've talked it with a few people about the topic, and it's just because these are civil rights, these are really important things that like before now we didn't have to have constant debates over. You know, but these are people's rights. They are important, but I get what you mean in that, like, trans people have been around for quite a long time. We haven't had a problem. Suddenly it's an issue, and it'll probably die down a bit after the elections is my prediction. But it doesn't mean that, like, the efforts to take people's rights away aren't worth spending time on. You know, and people like this, you know, he's got a following. He's 2 million followers, very popular, very all those things. And you know, I get on here because I want to advocate for a world that I want to see. And right now the debate is unfortunately trans people. I don't know, I don't gotta like it, but you know, that's the moment we're in. So it's what I discuss.
The problem with the study food fight is that two can always play at that game, and in this case, I can play it better. I have, for example, the most thorough study ever conducted on this subject, which spanned 30 years and found that suicidality is highest for trans people 10 to 15 years after medical transition. Highest. You, on the other hand, have one.
Wait a minute, Matt. But you're also not. Also not illuminating what the reasons for that was. Hunter already linked a study that said while suicide is still high amongst the trans community as adults, the reasoning is social and not personal. Like, the reason is not for their transition. The reason is for people like Matt Walsh. The solution here is to eliminate Matt Walsh.
One study that focuses on people who transitioned as adults, not as children, and which, according to you, found that there was no increase in suicide rate. Not that there was a notable decrease, but that there was no increase. And that the suicide rate was still much higher than the general population. Now, you blithely declare that this higher rate of suicide was due to, quote, social issues, not the transition, because what? You somehow know why all these people killed themselves? How do you know that?
Funny, Matt, you could actually probably get a study to find out about that. It's called suicidal ideation. If you can show that a group of people are at a higher risk of committing suicide, then you can extrapolate that number based on the reasons why they're giving. Crazy thought.
Well, I mean, you made it up, of course. And whatever the reason for the suicides, the fact remains.
Whatever the reason, we don't need to explain it.
The suicide rate is still very high.
And why could that be?
And so that would seem to be a pretty good indication.
Tell me
that
why.
The transition
Tell
meant
me
to
why.
prevent that
Tell
outcome.
me why. Tell
Failed
me
to
why.
prevent it.
Tell me why. Tell
and this
me
is a study
why.
you provided to prove your point. You know, people are raving about Genucell.
What the fuck? We're really doing a thing right now? We're just doing an ad. Okay. Wow, that was...
Give another study which claims these findings.
Okay.
You also give another study which claims these findings, and I'm reading now. Quote, in this prospective cohort of 104 trans and non-binary youths aged 13 to 20 years, receipt of gender-affirming care, including puberty blockers and gender-affirming hormones, was associated with 60% lower odds of moderate or severe depression and 73% lower odds of suicidality. Okay, well, at least this one pretends to actually prove your point rather than directly refuting it like the other one. But
didn't happen.
Do you know anything else about this study?
Waving at a imaginary
How was it conducted?
group.
How did they find their study subjects?
Yes, the classic.
How did the
you found a study that reinforces your claim.
Do you understand how
no, it doesn't count.
Unreliable self-reported data is? How do they quantify suicidal thoughts? A 70% decrease in suicidal thoughts. How do you quantify that to begin with?
Wait, but nobody says. Does Matt think that people are like, they ask people, are you depressed? And they go, I'm about 70% less depressed. No, it's an average because they're most likely answering questions on like a scale of like how depressed they are or a frequency of how often. You would just need a control group to get a starting point and then ask them where they are now in the future. Like, you know, however many months or years down the road. It's not really hard, Matt.
Of course, you haven't considered any of this, but it doesn't really matter because there's a fatal problem here. Well, there's a lot, but let's just focus on one. And it's the same one shared by nearly every study claiming to prove that gender-affirming care has positive results. The problem is this.
There's too many overwhelming
And you would know this
studies.
if you read the thing that you Googled, which next time you should think about doing that.
Yes. Hit me
the
with it,
results
man.
are based on a 12-month follow-up. Okay, they report that these kids, 12 months after beginning the transition, say that they feel better.
So a year.
You know what that tells us? You know what it proves? Absolutely nothing.
Yes. You have a piece of evidence. It means nothing because I don't think it does.
One single thing. I am not surprised that kids who have been told that transition will solve their problems would then report shortly afterwards that it has indeed solved their problems. If you gave a 13-year-old a really ugly tattoo, it's pretty certain that he'd still think it was cool.
So I'm assuming you're talking about COVID there. You know, the COVID stuff, the problem with the COVID stuff is you have an intersection between like personal health and like social policy or like you know, the social prescription for healthcare, which I think there's always going to be those compromises and those kind of what's the word, like what you would prescribe or what you would think you know, will work for like one person is not really what you want for your entire society. Like for natural immunity, if I remember correctly, I want to say it was Sweden. I could be wrong about this, but did Sweden not do basically anything in terms of lockdowns, in terms of you know, in terms of masking? Basically, they came to the conclusion that they were like, you know, we'll just let everybody get it. Like some people will get sick, everyone will get like, you know, that little boost of immunity, call it a day. Yeah. If I remember correctly, Sweden took a really laissez-faire approach to COVID. And while in the beginning things seemed to be doing kind of all right, their mortality rate, if I remember correctly, they did have a pretty shocking rise in mortality or like severe outcomes for people. Another thing also is we need to think about long COVID, where like letting everybody get like naturally immune is all well and good, like that's fine, but the effects of long COVID and the long-term effects is also something you have to weigh, because like there are people who got COVID in 2020 and are still living with coughs, still living with inflammation, still living with some of the effects, and might be living with those effects for the rest of their life because of that. And if we had let that spread to everybody, there's a chance we could be looking at like basically a cliff where like, you know, 10, 20 years down the road, we start to see people just fucking drop off because of these respiratory problems. So there's also that. Like weighing public policy with health policy is a balancing act. I don't want to get into super specifics because like I'm not a scientist, but like it is something that's not as easy as I think people make it out to be. You know, you can understand something while still having to come to the compromise of, sure, like I think just let everybody get sick. Like I'm a person who like firmly believes in go outside, play in the fucking mud, scratch your arm, get some dirt in it, fucking let your immune system like understand how to fight that stuff. Like I understand that for me, like that to me always makes sense. But for an entire country and for a populace of like millions, or you know, we're talking just you need a different kind of approach, I think. I'm an RN, I'll never work in medical. It was voluntary RN, unashamed. Is that a registered nurse, right? One of my best friends, he works in the ER. He always has horror stories for me, always, and he always tells me how shit the fucking industry is right now, how much they're putting on people. He always complains about the basically like I don't know if he's not technically a nurse, but like the nurse to patient or the patient to because he's not a nurse. I don't know what the fuck he is. He's like an ER. I actually don't know what the fuck his actual position is, but yeah, like the ratio of like, you know, how many people one nurse or one worker in a hospital has to watch over is like dangerously high. Might be a tech. Yeah, he might be a tech, I think.
Cool when he's 14. And if the 13-year-old gets a tattoo,
yeah, because I think he was trying to get like his
tattoo,
license or whatever to get to be on like ambulances.
Well, look, see, it turns out getting the tattoo was a good idea. He's 14 and he still likes it. The question is not how the 13-year-old feels at 14.
Can 13-year-olds get tattoos?
The question is, how will he feel?
Isn't it only with parental consent?
10 years.
I actually, like, as far as I know, getting a tattoo isn't like
version of the
dangerous.
same child feel now that he has to live with the consequences of decisions that he made as a child.
This is fucking
Regret
stupid.
is not likely to set in within the first year, though it very well might. Usually it takes longer, and you'll notice that many of these studies, they stop doing the follow-ups with the patients at precisely the moment when the regret might really start setting in.
Wait, but Matt. When is that precise moment? You can't use this argument. Like you're not saying anything. You're just saying we can't let kids transition at 15, which they're not. But we can't let them transition at 15 because at 16 they might, because at 17 they might. Oh well, they actually didn't start feeling regret. Oh well, they said at 17 that they were fine. Oh well, you can't let them transition at 15 because they might. This is a never-ending argument. Like he will always just push it back to like they're gonna regret it next year. They're gonna regret it the next year. They're gonna regret it the year after that, and after that, and the next one, and the next year, and the next year. Like that's all he's arguing. He doesn't actually have any data. He doesn't actually have any basis for any of this. He's just like waving at like they were about to regret it, but then they stop asking them, which all right, cool. If you can show me the rate of detransition, I would love to see it, but the rate of detransition is like lower than 10% because the rate of regret with trans youth and trans adults is below, I think it's like 8% is like the regret rate, which is lower than the rates of regret for most elective surgeries, if not all elective surgeries, basically. So like he has no leg to fucking stand on. He's just doing feelings over facts on this one.
What we need are long-term follow-ups with
this
people
is true.
who transition.
Matt does not want
children.
anybody to
transition. To explain, there aren't any reliable studies like that because we just started doing this to children on this scale.
No, it was not planned. I live in Colorado, so they gave me when I moved here. They gave me a plaid shirt with my license.
You shouldn't need a survey to tell me that. It should be a relatively easy thing to quantify. There was no such thing as a puberty blocker until recently.
My union talking about woke stuff. Yeah, this is also the thing. I really hate when unions get too bogged down with like a lot of this sort of stuff, and like it's always like, can we put like unions need to focus hard on economics. Like there is a place for like social policy, but like you're lucky you have a union. Us in the U.S., we don't even have that. So like, be thankful you have at least something. Here in the U.S., like my friend is completely fucked. They're losing nurses left and right because they're all just piecing out because they're sick and tired of being overworked by the hospital.
And if these blockers are life-saving medications, then that would mean that billions of children lived at a time historically.
They're not life-saving. They're only life-saving if you have gender dysphoria.
And that would mean that a great many children died because they didn't have access to it. Okay,
I stand with you in your negotiations.
Give me some examples. Who died due to a lack of access to this life-saving drug? You're saying?
Is he talking about hormone blockers? Aren't life-saving, you idiot. Like they don't do anything, but oh my god, I'm not getting into this again.
That should mean that many children have died because they didn't have access to it. So can you give me some examples? How many children died because there were no puberty blockers available?
Not all kids need puberty blockers.
We should be able to see in history
it's only
this
trans
enormous
kids.
Wave of child deaths due to a lack of chemical castration. Do we?
This is the dumbest take ever.
I could quite easily point to deaths that happened because penicillin hadn't been invented yet, for example.
Well, yes, because penicillin was developed to, if I remember correctly, it's for infections. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, that's for infections. Same with the polio vaccine. That was also developed because he has nothing, because all he can do is politically is lie and politically frame things in the worst possible way. But puberty blockers, you will not live or die based on them. If you have gender dysphoria, you have a higher chance of not committing suicide because your body's not going to be developing in a direction that you would not like to see it. But you could, like, I never went on puberty blockers and I survived because that's not what they're for. That's like being like, you know, kids don't get headaches. What do you mean? Kids never have gotten headaches. We don't need to give them, like, you know, fucking ibuprofen. Like, what is this? Like, I don't.
So where are the historical
Puberty
deaths that we
blockers.
can pin on a lack of puberty blockers?
Well, the thing is
This
most
is a life-saving drug. Isn't that
psychologists
what you said?
then go
Where's the
on
historical
to
evidence?
recommend puberty
Do you have
blockers
even a
to the
single
kids
shred
who
of
need
it?
them. Not everyone needs them.
No, of course you don't. Now, it is interesting, though, that
Crash
you
Zero,
can't-
what is he saying then? Please illuminate what he is saying. Because what he is arguing is that puberty blockers are life-saving drugs, which they're not, and that without them, kids would die, which they wouldn't. Only a specific subsect of kids have a higher propensity to commit suicide. Those kids being ones with gender dysphoria. So please illuminate for me what he is saying. Please, by all means. I prefer psychotherapy with puberty blockers. Yeah. The puberty blockers usually get prescribed by a psychiatrist. I never know the difference. Whichever one gives you drugs, that's the one. Usually you go to like a psychologist to get assessed, and then a psychiatrist for a follow-up, and then, you know, you get puberty blockers if they think that's right for you. But that's after like a bunch of sessions. He's arguing that kids in the past did not die for lack thereof. So wait. So you're telling me. Okay. So if that's what he is saying that there have been no children who commit suicide, who have gender dysphoria, who commit suicide. Are you saying that's true? Is he saying that's true? Because we have evidence to say that that's incorrect. That is absolutely not true. I will wait. I'm not saying what is true objectively. Then what are you saying? I want to know about objective reality. This is the problem I have with Matt Walsh. As much as I love his honesty in terms of living, you know, owning his fascism, I need to know what's the reality of this, because the reality is that kids with gender dysphoria have a higher propensity for suicide. And we've found that puberty blockers help alleviate that, because the problem that they're having is they don't feel comfortable playing growing into the gender role that they're currently growing into. Puberty blockers pauses that until they either A, feel comfortable in that role, or B, decide to transition into the opposite role, to which then their doctors, their psychologists, their psychiatrists, their parents, their family figure out the best path forward. Those are the two ways this works out. So what is Matt trying to say? Like, okay. Anyway, how much time we got left on this thing? 3 minutes. Cool. Let's get going.
Bring yourself to endorse cross-sex hormones and surgeries for minors. At first blush, this would seem to make you slightly more reasonable than the other child sexual mutilation advocates. But upon further evaluation, it actually makes your position even more incoherent, if that's possible. After all, the very medical establishment that you trust implicitly when it comes to puberty blockers also says that hormones and surgeries can be life-saving medical interventions for children. So why do you trust them on the blockers, but not on the hormones and surgeries? If they're lying, or let's be very generous, catastrophically mistaken about the latter two, doesn't it stand to reason that the same would apply to the first?
None of this is coherent.
Blockers, hormone surgeries, they're all part of the same process of medical, quote, affirmation. What you're saying is that you agree with step 1, but you think they're wrong about steps 2 and 3. This might not be an insurmountable logical problem.
I am so confused what the fuck he's talking about. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. How did he get from point A to point B? I don't.
You can't bring yourself to endorse cross-sex hormones and surgeries for minors. At first blush, this would seem
okay. So cross-sex hormones for minors, right? So in terms of minors, the definition, the medical term for minors is different from the legal term. Minors, when we talk about like legally, people who can vote, people who are considered adults, is 18. Minors in terms of medical decisions, lower than that. I think I've already said that, but let's also be clear. Secondly, if those are the things, this is probably where I break from Hunter on this, in this case, in that hormone therapy, no problem with. In terms of like these surgeries, if it's like, if the doctors and if the families and if the person we're talking about comes to the conclusion that that is what they need, then sure, I got no problem with that. Do I think that's going to be likely? Not really, because kids usually aren't going to be that gung-ho or ready to undertake such an extreme, like such a big step. Like I would presume most families would agree at 18 is when they make the final decision to do like bottom or top surgery, or they just stay socially and like 80% of the way transitioned, which also a lot of people do. There are a lot of trans people who are adults who don't get like who don't necessarily get like bottom surgery. Like, not everyone does everything. Some people do some stuff. Some people do all of it. Some people do only some of it. Like, it's just, I like freedom. That's just me. Why do you trust things for one group of people if you trust them on things for another group of people? Why do you trust things for one group of people if you trust them on things for another group of people? Okay, you can correct that. That was okay. I was so confused.
Seem to make you slightly more reasonable than the other child sexual mutilation advocates. But upon further evaluation, it actually makes your position even more incoherent, if that's possible. After all, the very medical establishment that you trust implicitly when it comes to puberty blockers also says that hormones and surgeries can be life-saving medical interventions for children.
They can.
So why do you trust them on the blockers, but not on the hormones and surgeries?
You say that taking 2 ibuprofen will alleviate your migraine as adults. Why would you then not give a child 2 ibuprofen as well? Yeah, we have like same drugs, different dosages. Kids and adults have different like development stages. We do not give kids even the same dosage of fucking Robitussin as we do for adults. Yeah, this is how all medicine works, Matt.
Or let's be very generous, catastrophically
like, do you think Matt gives like his kids like fucking like 4 ibuprofen when they say they have a headache?
Blockers, hormone surgeries, they're all part of the same process.
Or whatever the
affirmation,
the adult dosages. I think it's 4.
What you're saying is that you agree with step 1.
I try not to take ibuprofen too much.
But you think they're wrong about steps 2 and 3. This might not be an insurmountable logical problem for you, except that the only reason you agree with step 1 is simply because
I really hope Hunter
you're taking their word for it.
Does a response to this? Because this is like fucking Neanderthal logic.
Well, why don't you believe the rest of the story they tell? And if you don't, then have you considered that your skepticism should be more consistently applied? Third, finally, have you thought about just using your common sense?
What a fucking monster. I think I've heard that too.
You tried to rely on studies. That blew up in your face. You want to appeal
I mean,
to
he
authority,
also thinks
except
that like
can't
child
figure out
pregnancy
whether
is
you
bad
should trust
because
these authorities or not.
only if the child
You're all
isn't
kinds
then
of
married
confused. You
to
don't know
like
which
the
way is up,
adult
which
who
way
got
is
them
down.
pregnant. So
maybe consider applying your own.
he's got
mental
quite a few
faculties
yikesy
to
opinions.
This situation. Here's a very simple question.
For real.
Does it make sense to you?
No, I wouldn't wish that on them. God forbid. Matt seems like Matt absolutely beats his kids.
Somehow.
Absolutely.
Necessitating the use of chemical castration drugs to suppress some of the physical effects of male puberty. Does that proposition make sense?
Yes.
Does it make
I didn't listen to
sense
anything.
to take
I'm
a
not
boy
going
who is
back.
male and try to alter,
Whoa, Matt, did you just whoa. I think Matt just gave up the game. He just identified a boy who would be a man, and the difference between them being a man and male. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. He understands that there's a difference.
Some way in an effort to make him into, or make it appear as though he has been made into.
Even better. That's the best timeline.
Does it make sense to medically affirm?
How do I
the
switch to
boy's
that timeline?
confusion, rather than trying to treat and heal the confusion? I think you know that it doesn't. I think you're smart enough to know that it doesn't.
Did he? I need to know.
At least I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that point. A benefit that you perhaps haven't earned.
Let's see.
But you have earned your turn today, being, of course, canceled. And that'll do it for this portion of the show. As we move over to the members block. Hope to see you there. If not, talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.
Oh, shut up, Matt. No, he hasn't yet. He really needs to. He really should, like. I mean, I'm watching it, but like, absolutely. He should absolutely show up to this. I would recommend it. If I was his producer, which I'm not, I'd be like, you're doing a response to this, pal. But okay. All right. Let me take a sip of water, and then I was gonna say I'll go get more water, but this is a really big bottle. I don't need to get a refill. But oh hey, I should do the thing. I always hate doing it. I don't like doing it. You can really tell because I don't ever do the thing. If you are enjoying any of what you've seen, if you're enjoying your time, if you learned anything, if you got some catharsis out of it, if you just like hanging out and lurking in chat, I would feel gracious. I would feel so much grace for you to hit that follow button on Twitch, that subscribe button on YouTube. Really help me out, really help the channel out. It just it brings a smile to my face every time. Plus there's a fun sound and a fun little animation that plays, and you get a little, that fun little feelings. As you can see, Juki just said it right now. Didn't that feel great? Didn't that feel great to hear the Godzilla roar from the 2014? No, wait, which one was that? No, that was from the original. Didn't it feel great to see Yoshi's multicolored body stomping across to the old-fashioned Godzilla roar? I think it did. It's two of my favorite things. But I appreciate you, Juki. I really do. So we did Matt Walsh, and piece of shit guy. How about the Rockies that made me feel turny? I see Royals, buddy. That's fair. I'm not. No hate. They also gave this to me when I moved to Colorado. They kind of just give both of them. They're like, here's your license, here's your flannel, and your fucking Rockies hat. Before this, I had a Yankees hat because I'm a piece of shit. But I have a good reason for that. I have a perfectly fair reason for that. Okay, so I think I think it would be fun if we went and just laughed at Tim Pool. Like, does that sound fun to you? I think that would be a lot of fun. Tim Pool is a guy who he's so dedicated to being this centrist, moderate, everyman, normal guy, yada yada yada. And he's so not. He's such a fucking grifter, right? But sometimes Tim forgets that he is the guy that he is. I don't know. You tell me, because you say that you can't laugh at him, but have you heard Tim's music? This I must ask you. If you've heard Tim's music, then should we play? I bet you it's not DMCA'd, right? It's definitely not. It can't, right? He can't. Oh no, not that. Tim, Jesus Christ. Dude, I'm looking at it. I can't. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. No, I'm pretty sure he does it. We'll do a little bit. We can do a bit. What is this? What? Oh no.
Did you think I'd leave you there? Did you think I'd never keep...
There's a part of me that's kind of fuck, should I make this a fucking whenever I can have subscribers, maybe I should make this the subscribe sound.
promise to. It's easy when I'm lying there with
Oh, you're right.
think I'd leave you there. Did you think I'd never keep my promise to?
Palms? It's peasy when I'm lying there.
With you, and every night I dream of you. And every night I promise to hold on to. The dream I one day wake up next to you.
Oh man, where did they film this?
Did you know
You know, if I remember correctly, Tim Pool's also from Maryland, which means I am like biologically opposed to him. As a Virginia native, I could not stand Marylanders.
There's only one thing I want you to know.
Music, applause. There's an applause in here? He just put an applause? Oh my god, is there a hook to this? Does this ever build? Okay. Oh, Tim. Oh, wow. Holy shit, that took forever. Fuck, I don't even know if there is a hook. I don't think it's a hook. It's just like it builds to like one chorus. Oh, then they get hit in a car. Okay. So, okay. Oh god, that's funny. Okay. So Tim Pool, I guess he has a band that they release a bunch of music on, right? It's too much. It's just too much. Let's get back to our roots here. So apparently, Tim Pool is very upset because he has been kicked off of Bandcamp. Now, Bandcamp, if you're not aware, is like a website where you upload your music. If I remember correctly, you can like, a lot of bands will like let users set the set the price of like what they pay, like, you know, for the for the thing. I don't know why I keep, I hit the wrong button. Okay. I think they let you like set the price to purchase your music digitally or whatever. But it seemed, I guess his music got taken down from Bandcamp, and now I want to see, you know, Tim Pool's music's a bit cringy in my opinion. But let's just watch man whine for a minute. You know, not coming to the realization that like just because you can upload music to somebody else's platform does not give you the right to be on that platform. Tim's gonna have a bit of trouble reckoning with that. But let's just
several songs. And this is a bit of a personal
segment. I love how he presents this. He like presents this one
other people, but
like it's a news story.
I think there's something we need to discuss. It's the most important thing anyone can do in the culture war, and that is to make culture. Now, I have the privilege of having a fan base, all of you guys who appreciate this content, and I really do appreciate all of you in return.
How many views does he have on this?
When we put out music, the music charts, because there are people who...
Remember, guys, the music charts. It charts.
Like the work that I do, who then listen to the song then gets a bunch of plays and sales, and then it makes it to the Billboard
What
charts.
chart? Oh, the Billboard charts. Show me.
The most threatening thing to the establishment. They don't really care if you're talking politics, because politics only reaches those who care about politics. But
Tim,
in a culture war, you have to make culture. Which brings me to the purpose of this segment. I tweeted this out on
charts?
March 3rd. Hey, Bandcamp.
Billboard charts.
Our account is gone, and
Genocide,
so are our
losing
songs.
my mind.
Haven't heard back from anyone. Hopefully, it's all just a misunderstanding.
Echoscape. Oh my God, that's such the name of his band.
A lot of people don't seem to think it is. They think that our music was removed from Bandcamp intentionally.
Number 2
because, well, we have the wrong opinions, and we are not in the woke cult, and we are producing successful culture. Now, I know there are many people who don't like my music. That's fine. You don't have to. I'm just a guy who makes music. I've been playing music since I was like 7 years old. Play drums, guitar, bass, sing, write, all that good stuff. We got a new music video coming out later this month.
Let's see.
It's called Bright Eyes. And it's not very political,
Bright Eyes,
although the
isn't
song
that
he released,
a
Genocide, just back in November, was very political, criticizing the news media for lying.
Yes, that's
and
my
also
favorite
Will of the
songs.
People is overtly political, but not political in the sense like we don't call out Democrats or anything. We just
I need to know
there's
how
songs
Tim
about
cast records.
political
My
things.
God, this is
This
what
song
happens
only
when
ever
you
one
have
that I
like
have
way too
highlighted
much
here.
money and like
It's got
nothing
1.9
to do
million
with it.
views from 6 months ago, and this is just like a love and regret song. That's the bigger threat.
Love and regret
In a culture
song.
war, right now, name any one of your favorite content producers and commentators. Name the culture that they've built. Name any kind of cultural component they've added. Name the culture they've built. I'll wait.
Let's do it. Let's take a look. Let's look around, shall we? Oh boy, Tim Pool Thumper. Only ever wanted. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking banger. Fucking banger. No, I think this is on Tim. I don't think this is Tim. This is Poughkeepsie. Who is this? Records, Jamie. No, this isn't it. This is somebody who makes remixes. Still funny though. Solid beats. Solid beats. Is this gonna have? I see him in it. Oh. It's like I'm listening to Random Access Memory all over again. Is that the name of the album? Yeah. Okay, we're done. Oh. Man, oh man.
Now we can talk a little bit about like the Daily Wire's efforts with movies. There are certainly
they make like
some
movies.
musicians who, Tom McDonald, for instance, he's got a bunch of like great pop stuff. Then he's got some very political stuff. I think he does a good job of balancing it. That's why he's so successful.
Here we go.
But the reality is there's very few. I am not so concerned with making more commentary. I think y'all already know the problems, and we can talk about them all day and night. We need to make a culture that will be appealing to people outside of politics and thus spread our sphere of influence.
Tim McGraw.
This is why I believe it's the more likely reason
I need to know.
we got taken down. There may be some administrative reasons that we got taken down. I'm sure some...
You know, fun fact, if Tim had read his contract or read the terms of service on Bandcamp, he would have already seen that they probably already have in their terms of service that they can take your shit off their website at any point. And here's the catch. The reason they can do that is because, brace for impact on this one, guys. It's their website. They can host and not host what they want. It's kind of up to them. So like, Tim, I'm sorry. I feel for you, brother. I feel for you, my brother in Christ. I know it hurts to put art out into the world and have it be dashed by the big record labels, by the big music industry. But I'm sorry, man. This is like, you should just put it on your own website. You wouldn't have this problem. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Something will happen. Well, they'll say, oh, it was a big misunderstanding, and they'll make up some reason. But I got to be honest, I don't know if anyone's really going to believe that.
I really want to know how long his music stayed on the charts, or if it just because like the funny thing is Tim Pool will be like, excuse me, my music hit the #1 and #2 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. Oh, hey, we got somebody subscribing on YouTube. Nice, well done. That hasn't happened in a while. I was wondering if that alert even worked properly, but now I know that it does. Thank you, Daniel. Anyway, like. I want to know if his like music like popped off like that on like Billboard and then just dropped right the fuck off like immediately after, because usually that's generally how that tends to work. Like you'll see songs that go like up and then fall back immediately down, because that's just kind of how the charts work. Hitting #1 isn't really that big of a like or David, sorry, isn't really that big of a it's not really that big of like a a moment. I mean, you know, it's good for him, I guess. He has an audience. He's got 1.13 million followers. I'm sure he can round them up to go watch a video for 3 minutes and then have something chart for like an hour. But, you know, if we're asking, does Tim Pool move the needle in the music industry? No. But you know who should wait, has he? Ooh, I wonder if Melon has done a review of his music. I'm gonna go look.
Camp is a
We'll let Tim
website where you
talk
can,
while I look that
what do
up.
they say? It's a online record store and music community where passionate fans connect with and directly support the artists they love. A large portion of our sales for our songs were made through Bandcamp, and that allowed us to chart. Now, of course, I know there are many people who are going to say that my music is bad and I should stop doing it and all of that stuff. And
Your music
I really
is
don't
bad.
care.
You should do it if it makes you happy.
I'm not expecting to be Adele or Taylor Swift or anything like that, but I'm going to make culture in whatever way we can.
Ugh.
So that's why we do
By all
Cast
means.
Castle. I'm not in Cast Castle, but I also make music.
Can we
Ian's
get?
also got music.
Can we
Carter's
get
got music, and
Fantano to
we're probably
review
gonna
Tim
do
Pool's
more
music,
bands.
please?
We just have to expand the
That's what I
operation.
really want.
We've actually made money making music. But here's the important thing.
Whoa,
that
you
really
made money
freaks them
making
out.
music? Crazy.
My friends, I
Nobody's
give you
ever done
Tim
that.
Pool on Wikipedia.
We were
Yes.
just here.
The Tim Pool Wikipedia
Or at least I
page.
was.
Very funny.
My favorite.
It's got a bunch of weird stuff in it, but fine, sure, whatever.
What's weird? You're an American YouTuber, political commentary, and podcast host. Yeah.
And there's an important
That
part
is what you do.
in it.
Yes.
I will also add they haven't updated our numbers in a really long time. But I want to show you the most important thing.
Tim, it's Wikipedia. You can just do that yourself, idiot.
I think on the Wikipedia.
Oh, here we go.
page,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
is the singles section, peak chart positions.
Peak charts.
Genocide, Losing My Mind, featuring Pete Parada. Formerly of The
Whoa.
Offspring, he was replaced because he was unable to get the vaccine and didn't believe people should be forced to get it. Digital sales number 4, and rock digital song
Whoa,
number 2.
crazy. Oh,
I
my
believe
God.
Genocide charted on alternative digital in other areas. It's just not listed.
For how long? Is this for like the minute that it was popular? Because the video came out and you sent all of your followers to go listen to it? Like, don't get me wrong, that's what all musicians do, but are you all musicians, Tim? Do people listen to you for your music? No, not really.
I think we got like number 30 or 40 in like alternative and rock. Only Ever Wanted, the first song I put out with Pete Parada.
Yeah,
and the
oh my
second
God, does this
song,
dude
which was
only do
published,
stuff with
actually
with
did
Pete Parada?
explosively well. Man, a lot of people were really pissed off about this. Number 2
It
in
did the
sales.
worst.
Number 21 in rock.
This one.
Number 24 in rock and alternative.
Yeah, those aren't great numbers, my guy. Don't get me wrong, like out of 100, sure, but like again, this is also going to be based on if you can send your audience to pump up its views.
Number 16 in alternative. Now that's hard. Alternative is like everything. Like
That's not true.
Post Malone is alternative.
Rock
alternative digital sales number 1. And then of
It's
course
the alternative
we
to
have
good
2020 Road
music.
People, which also charted at number 17 in alternative sales.
He's
That
mixing
is
up. He's
3
mixing up.
songs that I've
Wait,
released
why is there
have
rock
hit
and
Billboard,
alternative, and then alternative? Why wouldn't you just have rock and then alt? That's weird.
100% success rate. Name your favorite band.
Wait, 100.
Look them up. See how many of their songs have made it to Billboard. Now, granted, if you put out 12...
Do you want me to do this game? The Kings... Toadies, they're not...
songs all at once.
They're
on an
not
album,
successful.
They're not all going to make it. That's fun. It's fair.
Is Tim
But these
Pool
were put out
really
months
trying to compare
for
himself
people,
to everybody's
years,
favorite
2 years
musicians?
later. Only Ever Wanted and Genocide were put out months apart, and they both charted. All 3 songs charted.
Whoa.
I hope the next song we put out does chart as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, because I can't believe that every song I've put out has hit Billboard.
Oh my God.
Very
I have millions of subscribers on YouTube, thereby meaning I'm able to get myself on a Hot 100 chart by pumping my views, by sending everybody to that. Also, if he has a website, he's probably hosting the video as well. Like there's ways to get around this, and it's also not that impressive. There's a reason why, like, if you like chart for a day, it's like whatever. It's the actual Billboard charts that are significant are like people who chart for months on end. But let let Tim Pool have his moment in the sun.
Who dream of getting
let
that
him,
close. In
let
fact,
him have his little
some
moment
of
in
my
the
favorite
sun.
bands have never made it. And some of your favorite bands and singers and songwriters and rappers have never made it either. This is the point. In a culture war, the most powerful thing you can do is make culture and win. And Timcast music is winning. In fact, they point out
it's winning.
The song Genocide competed with Taylor Swift for the #1 spot on iTunes.
Oh my God.
We actually beat her. It was the #1 Genocide, losing my mind, reached #2 on Billboard's Rock Digital Song Sales. And the #1 song for all genres on iTunes in November 2022.
Yeah, guys, didn't you know Tim Pool has like the most popular song ever? You've heard it on the radio like 100 times. It got like super overplayed. Like like you heard it so much. Like your friends were like, if I have to hear Genocide parentheses losing my mind one more time, I'm going to lose it. What's wrong with iTunes? Dude, my mom fucking uses iTunes. Everybody is on Spotify. I'm sorry. I don't even use Spotify. I use Apple Music. I have an iPhone. I'm a pleb. But like, nobody's buying digital CDs. I'm sorry. It's just not a thing that people are doing. Most of digital sales are coming from accumulation from streams. Streams are being rolled kind of into what counts as digital streams now, as calculated by Nielsen.
They'll try and make excuses as to why that's meaningless. They'll say, "Oh, but nobody
Crash
sells
Zero,
music
come
anymore."
on to the show and debate
So
me
you're
why
telling me
iTunes should still be
that
used by anybody.
The biggest artists in the world, given the opportunity, can
I buy records. Don't get me wrong. I don't buy CDs anymore. I buy like vinyl.
Is Taylor Swift so famous
I buy records.
that she actively tells her fans not to buy her music? No.
Radiohead.
The reality is,
better.
we actually did it. We beat
They did it. Wait, can I read this one? Reach #2. Chart all genres. In November. Okay. The song competed. Okay. By December, the single had sold. Wait, but that's not. Tim, you didn't. Wait, Tim, you didn't read it. Tim, I didn't read it. I was just going along with it. Genocide reached #2 spot on Billboard's Rock Digital Song #1 song chart for all genres on iTunes in November of 22. The song competed with Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero for #1 spot on iTunes. By December 2022, the single had sold 13,000 singles that have been streamed over 1 million times. Would you like... Okay. My inner Swifty's coming out, and now you're gonna have to live with it, Tim. Let's see. You're gonna make me do it. You're gonna make me do it, and now I'm gonna have to embarrass you. How many? Let's see. Can I find? Will they have numbers right on here? Let's see. Will they give me? Fine. No. Give me sales numbers. Digital. That's not what I want. Anti-hero. Yeah. No, I want downloads. Give me downloads. Give me a number for downloads, please. Italy, Greece, France. Let's see. Digital sales. What's the stream? Let's see. Oh, wait, is it in this article? Shit, here we go. United States debuted. Anti-hero sales. Yeah, well, so like the digital sales are gonna be like like what Crash said, buying shit on what's it called? Let's see. Yeah, 59.7 million streams. What are we looking at for Tim here? Over 1 million. Okay, so less than 2 million, 59.7 million. Yeah, these aren't. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. Digital sales aren't really that relevant. And also, we got beat.
Now we're not getting the radio play. That's the game.
Yeah, like
they're not going to put our songs on the radio. They're not going to put
because
our songs
nobody wants to listen to them.
Digital streaming playlists.
Because nobody wants to listen to a song called Genocide parentheses losing my mind.
So much, or they supported me so much, they bought the song. Taylor Swift didn't get it.
160 is
I mean,
true.
granted, she beat us in the long run. We got number
In
4
the
on the
long-
song
in
for the
the
digital sales of the week.
long run.
But there was a period where we were number 1. That is the biggest threat to the machine. The establishment
Tim Pool.
fearing
Tim
that
Pool out here
given
like,
the choice, people will buy Tom McDonald, John Rich, Tim Pool.
Yeah, Tom McDonald probably gets
John
better
Rich,
streaming numbers.
way up at the top. Tom McDonald, way up at the top. Me, I put out a few songs. They did fairly well.
Tom McDonald. Isn't that the dude who does
we got
like
deleted
the
from Bandcamp. And we're not the only
cringy,
ones. When I tweeted this, 5 times August said the same thing.
Here it is.
No idea what happened, but after 10
this
years
guy.
on Bandcamp,
He's
they
like,
removed my entire catalog of music and signed me on
God,
as
I
if
remember his
never
music was
existed.
fucking trash.
I just signed up again to reclaim my page.
Oh, and he's a rapper.
Silent
I can
War
say
is
that.
available for now
I
as
like
a test,
no rap.
But if they remove, here's a link. This happened
What
to
do
me
we got?
last week
December
after being on the
15th?
site for 10 years.
What the fuck
my
is
entire
going on with
catalog
this?
and followers gone.
What is happening?
They didn't write me back either. I signed up again
Wait,
to
huh?
reclaim my page, but I'm only keeping one album up for now in case they do it again.
Huh?
Very interesting. For the time being,
Tim. Oh, he's
the
Canadian.
songs we put
Oh
up, we
no.
had 3.
Juki,
They're
you
all
have
gone.
to. He's one
That's
of
right.
you. Tom McDonald's
Billboard
one of
charting
you.
songs deleted.
Tom McDonald's one of you. Canadians. Okay, is it this guy? What is going on with this dude's fucking Wikipedia page? His discography exists, but we can only find 83 total sales. Or what is this? Oh, peak position. Okay, 83 and 14. Jesus. All right, what do you got? 08 self-released. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so thorough and depressing all at the same time. Yes, Tom McDonald. He's the one actually competing with Taylor Swift. In the long run. Remember, guys, this is only in the long run.
From Bandcamp. They've not told us why.
Not from oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. That was...
No, I
that
know.
was
They may
fucking,
come out and say it was a mistake. It was an
Notorious. He's
administrative
from
thing, fine,
Canada.
Fine, blah, blah, whatever. But come on. How many people are really going to believe that? The bigger threat is not
amazing.
commentary.
Chicago.
It's culture. A John Lennon is a scary thing. He was a famous musician, celebrity, and he got involved
He's
in
also a
politics. And he
Beatles.
said, no Vietnam War. And that really did help end U.S. involvement in Vietnam. What ended up happening was...
Wait. Is the argument that the United States, like, populace was, like, until John Lennon came through, they were like, nah, we're totally... Like, no, nobody liked Vietnam. Everyone thought it was a waste of fucking resources. Like, no. Tim.
The communists took over.
Tim.
Depending on your perspective on this, is a good or bad thing. I
God.
think Vietnam was a catastrophe, to be honest. But I wasn't alive for it. I don't know a whole lot about it. I read a little bit, but I'm not going to pretend to be a historian or anything. I can only tell you that what they truly fear is influence.
I fear
Culture.
it so much.
We're going to put out more music.
Do
it's
it,
rock
please.
stuff, so I don't expect it to be number 1.
Well, yeah, because rap
But
is the genre.
we've got some pop stuff coming.
Oh,
What do
no.
you think's going to happen?
Pop?
If we hit a viral song, something that people
Dude, these guys, like, it's so funny. It's so fucking funny to me. Because, like, these dudes get on here, right? And they're like, what if we get our song to go viral and we hit the top 1 spot on Billboard for less than 24 hours. Like, this is such a misunderstanding, or at the very least, like, just a blatant show of ignorance on Tim's part in understanding the music industry. The music industry is not interested in you hitting the number 1 chart for 12 hours between the hour of like 9 p.m. and like fucking 9 a.m. East Coast time, so that like by the time everyone's going into work at 10, they can go back to listening to normal music. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, if you want to be a musician and make the cultural impact that you think you want to make, shut the fuck up, stop bitching, get in the studio, make quality music, release consistent singles, don't be a dumb fuck. Those are the ways that you actually influence what's the culture. Not only that, but all of Tim Pool's like music and background is obviously going to play against a majority of the crowd. So good luck influencing culture broadly when you can't even appeal to like regular ass people because all of your songs are about fucking politics. I love talking politics, but by no means do I think I'm in the majority or that any like most normal people want to hear me opine about politics all the time. I get that politics is not everybody's bag. It's mine, but that's just me. Like, dude, you're in a niche. Play to the niche, but don't ever think that you're doing anything big. Nobody who's not already a conservative Tim Pool watcher is going to go listen to Tim Pool the album, man. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Just want to listen to, and it really works. Goes viral, and everyone's saying, play it, play it, play it. You can't ignore it. That's scary. They can't control that.
That's not.
There's been a lot of songs that have
chart
gone
on
viral
Spotify and then come talk to
There
me.
have been a lot of songs. Actually,
That's
here's a good
the only
example.
actual
I think
way
it's, Habits
it can be
by
done.
Tuvlu. You know that song? It's like, how does it go? What's it like?
Who?
You're gonna.
Who? Oh no, Tim, don't sing.
Things that have gone viral organically.
There
have been a lot of songs. Actually, here's a good example. I think it's Habits by Tuvlu. You know that song?
You mean Tovlo? You did. Sorry.
Song it's like, how does it go? What's it like? You're gone and I gotta stay high all the time.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Is he, oh my god. Tim. Leave the singing to Tovlo. Also, the reason why Tovlo like blew up so big is because she's already a songwriter and she just transitioned into being a like actual public singer. Like she was a songwriter writing like pop songs for other people before she started like singing. Like same with the another good example. This is Neo, Meghan Trainor. There's like one more. There's like one more person. I can't think of them right now. But a lot of like you saw a lot of kind of in the 2010s. You saw a lot of these like songwriters who they just wrote pop songs. They wrote songs for people, transition into being artists themselves. Some of them to great success, some of them to moderate success. Tovlo did all right. I remember I think I traveled like states. I think I went to like Jersey or somewhere. No, I went to was it Pittsburgh? Was it Pittsburgh? Fuck, I don't remember. I remember I traveled to see. I've seen Tovlo live. Seen her boobs. That was fun.
It was released like just. And no one knew about it. Like a year later, all of a sudden, it was catchy and they wanted to hear it. And you've got Somebody That Used to Know. You've got Royals by Lord. There are songs that people just made, and then people love the music, and it works. What happens if someone like me hits something like that? That's big bad news for them. What are they going to say? How are they going to keep people from wanting more of it? That's why
that much.
They come after us. Let me tell you what I think. You've got musicians.
Dude, you had to skip the
They're
347.
culture warriors and they make cultural music.
It took so long to get to the fucking hook to this
It's not
song.
necessarily going to resonate with the average person, but he also makes stuff that does. I think he hit number 1 on pop on iTunes.
What is who?
And charted on Billboard with it.
Who?
That's the scarier thing. They don't
It's
care
really
if you
not.
make music. If your music's political, go be some.
Dude, there's like
crust
so
punk
much
band,
music
maybe
that's
someone will worry about you.
political.
But you make pop music, now you're in trouble. And we got the song Only Ever Wanted, the first one we put out. Why did we choose to put out this one? It's not politics at all. It's just like
Did it get a better reception than the other ones?
a rock song about love and regret.
Just a rock song, man.
And they tried insulting us saying it was like Nickelback, but I'm like, dude, emo
Nickelback
makes
is
more sense.
Dude,
Call it emo,
Nickelback is fucking great.
We've got an
Fuck
emo
everyone
song
who
coming out,
says
don't
who
get me
disses
wrong.
Nickelback.
We're gonna have fun with it.
Nickelback's great.
But that's the thing. That's what scares them.
Fucking
Actually breaking into the culture.
fucking
Check out the music if you haven't. We got a song coming out soon. The reason I'm talking
He's
about
so
this is because I
mad,
just want to
dude.
bag everybody.
He's
make
so
culture,
fucking
make art, make video
bitter.
games, play card games, be involved, make shows, make comedy. It's not all about politics. We have to do other things.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m.
Oh my god. Jesus. Should we? Okay, let's do this one. I'll do this one. Where's the become hangout? Where's your stupid band? Oh, god damn it. Tim. Pull. Okay, let's see. What is it? only ever. Oh wait, that's the one we listened to. This took forever to get to. Oh yeah. This is what I want to fucking hear. This is what I want to hear. One second. We're gonna equalize the volume here between both of us so I can hear myself. Okay. Like, is this really what people want to hear on their way into work? Like, like, it's gonna take me what? Fucking. I have to wait until the 3-minute mark of a 4-minute and 40-second fucking song to get some goddamn like energy into the song. No, Tim, no. Stop it. Took too damn long. Oh yeah, this was the other one. Yeah, like you've got like 1 point whatever million like subscribers to go and watch this. Like, yeah. Oh yeah. Why isn't he emoting? No. Oh my god. No, I'm not. Tim, shut up. Tim, it's not because you make scary music. It's because you make scary music videos because they look like shit. Oh my god. No, get me out. We're done. We're done with this. Oh my god. Oh, Tim. Oh, Tim. Yeah, it was. Okay. It was. Also, did you notice he just kind of like talked normally instead of like singing any of it? Like it's just a bit odd. Yeah, just a bit odd. But okay. I want to get to this last topic, and it was the only thing that I had named. So let me go on a break really quickly. I'm gonna grab some more. Actually, I'm probably just gonna throw some ice. I'm gonna grab some ice and a little bit more water, and then we're gonna do the Gothix video, and then that's gonna be the end of it for tonight, I'm thinking. Let me pull this up, get all of this ready. Yeah, I think we're good. Should be good. Okay, cool. Do this. Be right back. Alright, cool. Sweet. Alright, let's try and make this quick, shall we? Let's do this, but swiftly, shall we? Alright, cool. Oh, we gotta bring this down a little bit, because that's gonna be really loud. Alright, okay, so I think really early on, I did a reaction video, or at the very least, I did some video of responding to Gothix. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I think I did, but I don't really remember. But either way, content creator, grifter, fucking idiot. Every once in a while, there's a lot of like these right-wing grifty content creators that kind of float around into the ether. And usually, for the most part, I try to stick with kind of the bigger ones. But I thought to myself, who have I not talked about? Who have I not checked in on? What are some of these other content creators that are a little bit on the smaller side up to? And to which I was like, I remember Gothix. Yeah, shit videos, saw a couple of them. I was like, they're pretty bad. So let's go see, jumping on the transphobia train. Let's see if she's got some better arguments. Something tells me she won't. But, we should always hear people out. Again, every single time, but not every single time. It's really annoying. I really wish YouTube would come to a decision on whether full screening starts a video or it doesn't, because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Ugh. Anyway, continue.
Welcome to my channel.
Love the V for Vendetta flag.
About transphobia and why that's not really a thing. So before I make your heads explode by articulating this argument, I want to remind you that I started a second channel where I'll
doing
be
it poorly.
video
Got it.
games as well as providing commentary on the idiocy within gaming culture. So essentially, exactly what I'm doing right here.
Oh my God, I can't. What would that be? I hope she doesn't get into like Anita Sarkeesian stuff.
More geared towards gaming, and then you can also watch me rage quit every 5 seconds as I play really badly in video games. Oh, you annoy me! Anyways, so, transphobia. Why it doesn't exist? Whenever I
lovely.
try articulating this...
It comes out poorly?
This argument. People look at me like I'm crazy, and they say, well, obviously, you would think that transphobe, And usually what happens is they will...
I love laughing at a lack of an argument.
Trans person getting killed or some type of hate crime, and they'll use this as a way to justify that transphobia exists. It's worth noting here that phobia means fear, and 90% of the time when people say transphobia, they're not actually describing fear. They're describing some type of bigotry or violence or something it's not fear. I ain't afraid of nobody, all right? So in order for me to believe in transphobia, I would have to first believe in the idea of trans, and I don't. When people say, well, you're denying my existence as a trans person, to that I would say, yes, I am. I am denying the existence and legitimacy of this concept of trans, because what is it you're trying to describe here? You are still describing a man or a woman. If you get more specific, you can say man who is confused about their gender, woman who is struggling with her.
Okay, let's really quickly, I want to, from the John Hopkins medical website, what are you doing, scroll wheel? What is a phobia? A phobia is an uncontrollable, irrational, or lasting fear of a certain object, situation, or activity. This fear can be so overwhelming that a person may go to great lengths to avoid the source of this fear. One response can be a panic attack. This is sudden, intense fear that lasts for several minutes. It happens when there is no real danger. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Also, the whole fear thing, it's also like most of the time when people say phobia, when we talk about like social groups, it's not always specifically that you fear somebody. It's that you have an aversion to their being around you.
Her identity. Either way, it's a man or a woman. Back in my day, a lot of people said that this was a mental disorder. Gender
According to Matt Walsh, yeah.
Something that affects you psychologically.
Yes.
I take it a step further and I say a spiritual disconnect or something internally, spiritually that's
yes.
off.
So
Either
something
way,
you
it's
cannot
abnormal.
measure.
So if we take that argument and say, okay, this is a trans woman, does that mean that this is an anorexic woman? Does that mean that this is a depressed woman? Does that mean, you know what I'm saying? If you were going to keep adding this label, that's...
There is an argument that that the trans part of trans woman is a adjective, that it's it's describing the type of woman. The same way there's tall woman, fat woman, skinny woman, any other kind of thing. It's just a adjective to further describe this person.
Your mental disorder is somehow making you into a different breed of human, then we have to apply that logic to
too many adjectives, yeah, right?
Category, and we don't do that. We don't say anorexic woman. That's just a woman. She has anorexia, but it still doesn't change.
You're right. No woman has ever been called anorexic. That is correct.
Change the fact that she's a woman. So
you got me there. You got me there, Gothix. Nobody's ever said.
First believe in trans. All I believe are people who are struggling with their identity, but they're still
It
a
is.
man or a woman.
It is.
And trans
It
is
makes
just
me
a
really
label
sad that she
to
has a V for Vendetta
overemphasize
poster.
their internal struggle. But there is a reason
Like
why
no
people
idea what
insist on
any of
using
V for Vendetta's
trans
messaging
label,
is about.
and
It's anti-fascist
done so to deliberately collectivize
influences.
thoughts
Like fucking not Frank Miller. What's his who wrote V for Vendetta? I'm forgetting his name now. It's not Frank Miller. Fuck. Now I have to look it up because it's gonna bother the fuck out of me. V. Fuck me. V for Vendetta, British graphic novel. Who was it? What the fuck? No, not the movie. Oh, I don't want the movie. What the hell's wrong with you all? The movie's not bad, but like Alan Moore. I'm stupid. Alan Gray. Alan Moore wrote V for Vendetta, and he's like a anarchist, I think.
Particular group, and also to embellish the severity of problems that that particular group deals with. So this kind of ties into the concept of hate crimes. There's no such thing as hate crimes.
Oh.
There's none. There are crimes.
Man.
So if we talk about transphobia in the context of
She does know that like there are legal hate crimes, right?
What are you
Like
trying to convey? You're trying to articulate.
he's
a
an anarchist. He's kind of wild.
Or
Alan Moore is a
what actually
interesting character.
transpired to make it seem more
Although he
severe than it
hates a
actually
lot of
is,
his
or worse
writing
than
from
it
like
would
the
be with
80s
another group
and
of
early
people. I don't
like
condone it,
90s.
But by you adding that label, what is it you're trying to convey other than trying to rile people up and make them assume that these people are being targeted? And even if, let's just say for the sake of the argument, there was some type of killer that wrote a manifesto about how he hated trans people and he deliberately
You're right. See, guys, that's
went out of his way to kill
stop.
these people.
Stop. That's never happened. Nobody has ever killed a trans person and said it's because they're trans, or nobody's ever killed a trans person because they found out that they were trans and were disgusted by it. It's never happened.
To negate the fact that he still killed people. So saying that he killed trans people, it doesn't actually change anything. He still
You do know. She does know that, like,
let's say for the sake of the argument, I don't like
you can kill like
I say I don't
women.
like you.
You can
And
kill
they say
poor
back to me,
people.
You're transphobic.
People kill
Can
poor
I then
people.
say they're Christian phobic? Can I then say they're reality phobic? Can I call them some other type of phobic? Of course not. It doesn't fit the narrative.
yeah.
It's only one-sided here.
Wait, no, yeah, you can. Wait. Gothix. Do you think have you ever heard the term Islamophobic? Have you ever heard that before? If you have, then please shut the fuck up. Like,
so essentially what these labels are doing, it's creating this sort of a
you can absolutely have a phobia of a religious group.
People that can benefit off of preferential treatment. It's because you fall into this category, we have to pay attention
From
to
what
you
I
more.
gather,
We
so
have
she's
to
one of these
take you
people
more
who's like,
seriously.
no,
We
I'm
have
above
to
it. I'm better.
protect you. It's
I'm
inevitably
the better
creating
black
this
person
dynamic
that
of
doesn't
oppressed versus
think,
oppressor. So
you
in
know,
the
that
pursuit
doesn't
of
think
protecting trans people,
that
even
it's
though they're
always
literally
black
just
people's
men or
fault.
women that are struggling
That's
with their
kind of that's
identity.
mostly her
In the
thing.
pursuit of that, you then make enemies out of half
She
of the
does the Candace Owen things, but with like a goth e-girl aesthetic.
population. You can then use that for political gain, for more power. Because let's think about this for a second. Who do you think, if we're looking at the vast majority of people who identify in this way as trans, and we can even say the same thing about the LGBTQIA plus minus community, who do you think their political allegiance is normally?
I'm assuming you've been a victim. I have luckily not been a victim of a hate crime. I have had people say some really sussy shit around me, but no hate crimes as of yet.
Reserved for. To answer this, all you have to do is consider how many times you hear political leaders talk about representation, inclusion, and diversity, and trans rights.
Can we stay on the topic, please?
What political party?
Yeah, no, you're okay.
I think it's pretty obvious. So it's consolidating all of the votes, essentially. It's creating an army of sorts.
I don't even know where we're at anymore. My brain's melted. No wonder her viewers
I really don't like saying this. It's creating an army of useful idiots. And I don't like saying that, but it's true. It's an army of useful
Keep in mind, she's talking about trans people. and talking about, actually, if we're being totally honest, she's probably referencing black people. That's why she doesn't like to talk about it, because every time we get into these conversations about do hate crimes exist or do, like, you know, systemic oppression exist, these kinds of creators always have to find a way to drag it back to, oh well, it's just the Democrats using black people as stupid tools to gain more power and to consolidate it, which it's like, well, no, most Democratic politicians pretend to fight for issues that the black community are interested in, that they care about. That's why the black populace in America tends to vote for Democrats over Republicans. Republicans have no interest in black specific issues.
Idiots who are blindly going to protect the savior of trans rights, whoever that political leader is, and we know who that leader is, right? I want you guys to use your brain and really think about it here. I'm hoping this video reaches people
use that gelatinous,
because it's I want
use that gelatinous
Again, this is why
hunk that's on the ground that used to be your brain.
The trans label, and it's because without that label, they can't effectively victimize that group of people. If they were just direct and said, okay, you are a man that's struggling with your identity, you're a woman that is confused about your gender, right? It wouldn't have the same effectiveness. But if you say trans, it implies some type of marginalized.
Is she looking at notes? Do you need notes for this? God, these essayist type people, I swear, they have it so easy. They just write notes like right below their fucking camera, and they're just like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna like read off this with my talking points and call it a day. Like, man, fuck, I wish I could do that.
Disenfranchised group of people that need protection and they need a political savior. Somewhat recently, there was some type of a mass shooting that happened. I believe it was in Colorado, and the headlines insinuated that this was an act that was deliberately targeting LGBTQIA plus minus people.
Yes.
But if you take that label out of it and you just say mass shooting at nightclub as opposed to a mass
what, gunman kills 5 at LGBT nightclub in Colorado Springs until patrons confront and stop him, police say. Gunman kills 5 at nightclub in Colorado Springs before patrons. So do you want to know what the difference between these two things are? Do you want to know what the difference is? One of them gives you more information, the other one doesn't. And Gothix is advocating for less information because it would be what? Good? Because it would be better? Now, if it was not true that it was an LGBTQ nightclub, then sure, I would argue the right side article headline would be better, because it is the other one, because, you know, that would be more true. But considering what they're describing is accurate, then it's just more accurate information.
Shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub, it doesn't have the same effect. By you having these headlines with these
when did I
labels,
say
you're deliberately
Biden?
Trying to invoke a
When have I said? I haven't said Biden in like hours.
Savior that will then create legislation to protect these groups of people, and they do this by
I don't
saying,
think
hey,
you're
if
listening,
you support me,
Frag
I'll
incoming.
pass through this legislation to make your life better. But these new laws are always at the expense of taking away the rights of other people. So a few examples that I can give to illustrate this is, again, if we're talking about...
You mean like the religious liberty of people who want to preserve marriage as an institution for only men and women, heterosexual couples, their right to wall off marriage, a legal determination to only heterosexual couples? Do you mean that right, when we let gay people get married? Like, you know, if we allow gay people the right to get married, then that takes away the right of religious people to not let them get married. Are we talking about those kinds of rights? Because Tennessee's doing that. Tennessee's doing that, yeah.
That appear to be targeting trans people. You can then propose a law that would strip gun ownership away from people that had nothing to do with that situation. And the other example that I can give is this attempt to...
It's too bad we already watched a good gun debate where everybody was like, no, you need common sense regulations.
Also forcing the rest of society to pay for these procedures. And how do they do this? They justify it relying on research that also relies...
Fun fact, all of our society pays for for all of the healthcare of elderly people. all of it that might be necessary might be unnecessary, but understand that's all of our tax dollars.
On the trans label.
This already happens.
One example is
You pay for bridges that you don't
there
use.
is a higher suicidal ideation among trans people. Without that label, they can't justify this narrative. And by the way, it's no wonder that there is a high suicidal ideation with this particular group because, gender dysphoria is psychological. If not psychological, then spiritual. But they think fixing
not
it
spiritual.
is sacrificing these people to be eternal slaves to Big Pharma. And the other example that I can give is this attempt to create legislation that punishes businesses and individuals for...
How do I even address this? There's like so much. Okay, so where do I start? Okay, we'll go back. We'll get for like 2 seconds.
Among trans people. Without that label, they can't justify this
Okay,
narrative.
so we can't label and understand groups. Gotcha.
With this particular group because,
right. Now I remember my point. So Gothix, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually look up the reasoning as to why suicidal ideation is as high as it is amongst the trans community. The studies that usually illuminate the rate of suicidal ideation will also allow you to see the reasons for those, most of them being social.
Gender dysphoria is psychological. If not psychological, then spiritual. But they think fixing it is sacrificing these people to be eternal slaves to Big Pharma. And the other example that I can give is this attempt
We're all slaves to Big Pharma.
Legislation that punishes businesses and individuals for misgendering someone, not using the right pronoun. And this is
whoa. We constantly demand that businesses treat everybody in the society, all taxpayers of all stripes, by a certain standard of like human decency. You know, unless you want to argue that like a business owner cannot hire blacks because they don't like blacks. But like, obviously that's insane, is it not? And also in terms of individuals, you can misgender somebody all you want. The only time you're going to get in trouble for it is if you insist upon doing so and start to begin breaking like disturbing the peace kind of laws. Like if somebody's just walking down the street and you're just like yelling their dead name at them, then yeah, somebody's probably going to call the cops on you because like you're disturbing everybody around you and you're also harassing that person. Like we have harassment laws.
Ensuring the safety of trans people. And how did we get here? It starts by saying,
has Gothix ever read like a study?
Of violence. Speech is harmful. That's harmful rhetoric.
Yes, it is.
Hateful rhetoric.
Yes,
right?
it is.
That looks like trans rights, but actually, it's slowly eradicating free speech, and it's slowly
nope. You have free speech. You do not have freedom from consequences.
Towards whatever the state says is appropriate. We have not even reached the peak of what's to come down the pipeline.
True.
Right? If you haven't realized this, we are slowly losing our rights. And as I said, the
crazy
idiots are handing their rights over voluntarily without even realizing it. Hey guys, as I was editing this video, I came across this tweet from Hassan, who is the nephew of, I think his name is Cenk. And
why are you all incapable of watching a video and like synthesizing a name? It's Cenk. Just watch the show like once. That's all I ask. Also, okay, hopefully she reads it.
The guy that's always screaming on the Young Turks, the angry one. Yeah, that guy. So
yes.
It says right here that every day there's new trans legislation being written to basically eliminate trans people from existence in the U.S. What he's actually describing is preferential treatment. It's added privileges that you would not have access to.
Yes, the added privilege of being able to go to a doctor and getting health care that you need. Yes, that is the privilege that trans people have. No non-trans person has the right to go to a doctor and not have the government tell them what to do. Except for women. Women do not have that right.
If you learn to accept yourself and not feel the need to undergo any of these procedures to affirm the gender of your choosing. So, for example, saying that a trans woman has to go to the men's bathroom is that man's right because that's a man. And that man already has access to that right, but no.
Wait. Saying a trans woman has to go to the what? Okay.
What that man wants is preferential treatment. They want my rights. And so someone like Hassan will get on Twitter and Twitch and try to
How many bathrooms do you think Gothix has been in with trans women?
Preferential treatment to that man and saying you can use her bathroom too. In the context of
crazy thought.
eliminating
They're
trans people,
not a
there's
man.
nothing to eliminate because
They're
trans
a
people
woman.
don't exist. All that exists are men and women who are struggling psychologically or spiritually. So there is no sense of elimination. But
Wait. What about intersex people? Are we not going to address that? Do they not exist? There's no such thing, because you can't say there are only these two things. That's all there ever is. You can say generally there are only men and women, but even then, that's not capturing 100% of the people that can exist.
But again, this is what these people do, is that
They never want to bring up intersex people because it's like, because they want to say objectively there's only two genders, but that like even though like intersex people obviously are like somewhere in the middle. And then when non-binary people are like, I'm neither, they're like, oh, how dare you? And it's like, well, I'm allowed to pick these things.
From other people. And in my opinion, the best way to slow this down,
Uh-huh.
you can't stop it. It's already going. This train is like,
Cool, then-
we're on.
Cool.
Woo,
Then let's
it's
then
moving.
shut the fuck up and
Can't
get out of the way.
stop it, but we
How
can
about that?
slow it down, and the way that we do that
It's
is
trans.
being
They
direct,
said they didn't care.
using plain language. And unfortunately, as much as people
Fuck
try
that
to
person.
convince themselves of this lie, you cannot tell the truth while actively lying at the same time. You can't say that you believe in biology while actively trying to affirm someone's made-up gender.
It's too bad gender isn't biological.
There is no negotiation with it. If it really hurts you, just call them by their name, right? That's how I see it, because you got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and then you're wondering why things aren't working. It's because you're still playing by the rules that these Marxists have created. And this is why we have to eliminate those rules by using direct and precise language when we're
She
talking
finally
about this
identified it.
particular
We're
topic.
Marxists.
So again, this is why I say transphobia doesn't
All
exist,
trans,
because
you're
trans
Marxist
doesn't
now.
exist. All that exists are
You now
human
also believe in the
men and
seizure
women,
of the
and we should help them not by affirming their delusion, but by
of the
encouraging
means
them
of
to
production by the
accept themselves in the way
proletariat
that
class.
God designed them.
Yes.
And please, before you try to draw a comparison to people that
Uh-huh.
get cosmetic surgery done, because I
Uh-huh.
know I'm going to get it in the comment section.
Right.
There isn't an ideology attached
Uh-huh.
to cosmetic surgery. That's
There isn't an ideology attached to. Wait, have you ever watched Nip Tuck? Like, I'm sorry, the ideology of what would you actually call that? Like actually, isn't it called like lookism? Isn't that like the like, you know, if you're like getting plastic surgery, also some people get it for like medical reasons. Not all plastic surgery is simply cosmetic and like just for whatever reason. Some people get certain things done because it would actually improve their, like, a lot of people get nose jobs done because it would improve their like nasal passages. It was actually allow them to breathe better. Like,
difference. They're not radicalizing people in the same ideological manner that they're doing with the trans movement. But there is that happening with people that use this trans label. Huge difference. So again, eliminate the labels, speak direct, speak precise, and you essentially have leveled the playing field. So now these people are
this is
forced
the most
to argue
empty.
in reality.
I,
And if these
like,
people
there's
are
like
still
hardly anything to
insistent on
react
using the
to. This
trans
is
or
like so
transphobic label,
empty.
I would simply toss this question back to them. What is it that you're trying to describe by using these labels? If transphobia is being defined as bigotry, hate, dislike, violence, discrimination,
that's
whatever
pretty
the
much
case may
it.
be,
Yep,
then
that's
those behaviors are not
uh-huh.
exclusive to trans people. So why is it that you're using that label?
Wait. We already have racism for if you judge people based on race. We have fat phobia if you judge people based on their like weight or presentation of their weight. We already have these things to describe like people who hold negative views of people for inherent traits. Like, what? And some of it isn't even inherent traits. It's just if you have an unreasonable like fear, hatred, or like loathing for a particular like social group, and sometimes it's not even social groups. Like, it's really just if you have a weird fear of groups of people that are like broadly defined. Like,
aside from trying to sensationalize that behavior and make it sound worse than it actually is, or worse than it would be with another group of people. And if they can't do that, well, that's their problem. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that on her channel. Do that only on my channel. Never subscribe or follow anybody else. That is the edict of this channel. Okay. So I gotta run. That was fun. Yeah. Okay. That was empty. Like, I don't know if I've ever watched anything as empty, like from a content creator, which I've seen other Gothix videos. It is disturbing. How many followers is she? Has 339,000 subscribers. That's actually crazy. We need more subscribers than Gothix. We just do. There is no way that somebody this empty-headed should be able to get on here and have a nice setup. Meanwhile, I'm just like, I'm literally in the corner of my bedroom. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, subscribe, follow, do all the stuff, tell all your friends, tell everybody, come hang out. Hey, you should check out this smaller channel. They're kind of cool. They yell a lot. Either way, like I said, I gotta run. See you all next week. Remember, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 7 p.m. right here, right where you are right now. I'll see you all next week. You all have a lovely night. And bye-bye.